Hey everyone, happy Saturday. Hope everybody's having a good weekend so far. It's good to see all of you over here in the chat. Man, what an eventful past 24 hours, right? It's kind of baffling how quickly things escalate to this place and how easily people just believe things. I don't know. It just blows my mind. So it's making me wonder, where is this information coming from, right? Where's it coming from? Is it coming from Seth? Is it coming from local LE? Where where does it originate? Is there any fact to it? I don't know, but it's maddening. It is. Good morning, everybody. Good to see all of you. Miss Leverbird, Captain, Spiritual, Nosy, Poetic, Carrie, Julie's, Juno, Naysayer, Bayou, Catherine, TLC, Chriset, Happy Beach, Kim, Peekaboo, Sativia, Electro, Sarah, Wandering Aimlessly, Mrs. M, Lovey, Sativia Moon, Kathy J, TTT, Lake Breezes, Kathy R. I don't even know how to say Boovamal. I don't know. Ami. Speaking of which, I heard a particular somebody who always cries victim after her moderator came over here and asked for some type of, ceasefire, went on to have a whole panel discussion laughing at the way I speak. Let me tell you something. Despite my accent, despite my mispronouncing of words, I will outsmart you and outwit you every day. I think the funniest thing is when this person says things like "we was" and your English is as broken. I think you have no business talking about the way somebody speaks. But regardless, again, of my mispronouncing of words or the way I speak, I would have, I offer much more constructive and deeper conversation than you ever could. I don't need people up here holding my hand to get through a stream, okay? So I just, just to point out there again, the one that's always crying, they want to be left alone, out of nowhere, had to start that up again. You see where I'm going with this? Because this happens all the time. So yeah, as I've explained to people, I was in a pretty bad car accident a few years back, and I had a really bad head injury from it. And sometimes I forget things. Sometimes my brain just gets jumbled up. I've gone to doctors for it. There's nothing that can be done about it. I have short-term memory loss. It's a real problem. It has really messed up my everything. It's ruined my life, to be quite frank. But there are some words I'm just stupid and I just mispronounce things. There's some of it has nothing to do with my head injury or anything. It's just being goofy and reading words the way they're written instead of the way they're pronounced. Nonetheless, I still have more intelligence than this person would, even on their best of days. So, just wanted to put that out there. Um, Dog the bounty hunter. Where is he getting this information? I know, Susan. And it's so funny because this is somebody who always preaches, like, oh, I mean, don't even get me started on all of it. But I will say this: God don't like ugly, and it's about time you get your ass in a church. So I've been paying a little bit of attention. Yeah, out of nowhere, Mrs. M. Out of nowhere too. Remember that terror. Thank you so much. Thank you. Pristine, good morning. It is insecurities. It really is. That's a shame. You're right. There's some words I'm just stupid. I mean, I'm not above admitting that. And I would go to argue I'm not the stupid one. Who the hell wrote these words to read differently than they're pronounced, right? Like the English language is very confusing. But some shit I am stupid, right? Like one time I said facade instead of facade. Well, it's spelled out like facade. You know what I mean? So my brain just goes quick. But I'm a very good writer. I've received rewards and been published places for my poetry and my paragraphs and all of that. But it doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, this person literally has broken English themselves. So, and again, it's not even them mispronouncing words. They just don't use bigger words than donate, grift, green, make it rain. So, their limited vocabulary protects them. At least I try to expand and expel the way I'm speaking. So, sucks for you. Anyway, yeah, no, mispronouncing words doesn't make you stupid. You're so right, B. You're right. Maybe I will, Kathy R. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll write a poem about grifters. Maybe I will. I can already hear the tune of it in my head. Huh, good idea. Okay, so hey, Colleen. Thank you. I appreciate that. Good morning, Thor. Lake breezes. Yeah, we all do. We all mispronounce, So I laugh it off. That I have no problem with. But this person actually thought that geology and geography were the same thing. So I really don't think they have room to speak. Is all I'm saying. But if y'all, can I get a 5 by 5? I mean, you're very limited on what you say because you have a panel that holds you down. Well, that's what I'm wondering. Did he lose the pot? Right. There's some things that, we say wrong just because we say it wrong. There's some things that have to do with local dialect, and there's some things that, quite frankly, it's just mispronounced. Um, and honest to God, I didn't always have this problem. I had a stroke in 2008. I'm good now, but I had to learn to speak and read again. I was 42. People can be cruel. Your local grandmommy, I'm so sorry. People are cruel. And when their vocabulary is limited to 5 by 5 words, I don't think they have room to talk. So, by the way, my mother's influence mispronouncing because she was German and butter and things, all of my own. That happens when you hear words that you find in things you read. That's what it is. My brain reading goes quicker than my mouth, and things just they're spelled different. They wasn't me, it was them. Whoever wrote the words and spelled the words did it. That's how I knew Mom of Gladiator. That's the only reason I knew because I don't look. It was your email that notified me, to be honest. Just all she can say is, Granny, what's your thoughts? She can't think for herself. Right. I mean, let's be honest, there is no deep conversation coming from that one. And that is why they always need people on panel to carry them. And they have carried them ever since. Yeah, that's it. You got me. Thank you. I like that. Nothing else, dog, has brought this case more attention. Isn't that the first goal? Well, let me ask you a question, Amy, respectfully. If dog was bringing attention strictly to Sebastian, I would say yes. That's a fantastic thing. But the attention he is bringing is negative towards the Proudfoots, right? Replace roles, Amy. If the attention he was bringing was negative towards Seth, would you be okay with that? I mean, I think that's it. Did we just hear the other day dog make an accusation that Sebastian was dressed like a girl? Well, Constance, again, even with my mispronouncing of words, I still hold a deeper, more intelligent conversation than that person ever could or ever would. That's fact. I am YouTube. I'm good. No, it's okay, Mama Gladiator. I appreciate you having my back, and I appreciate you understanding where I was coming from. Dog doesn't even know his name. I think that's why he kept saying boy. Yesterday was terrible, and the other side wouldn't be cheering it on if roles were reversed. That's what I'm wondering, Mrs. Fletcher. If she didn't have a panel, channel would sink. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'd be okay with whatever. I mean, if his info is correct and the point as Seth, then yeah. You would, Mandy? So a dog went up there and made like bold accusations. See, because people keep talking about threats, and I'll be honest, I don't know who's receiving threats and who isn't. I have no idea. What I do know is I have seen threats of coming from Tony Mathis. I've seen that with my own eyes. I saw threats coming from Team Seth. So I don't know. Maybe there are threats. I don't know who's doing the threatening. I'd like to find out. I believe he saw a photograph. I would love to see that photograph. I would love to know how old Sebastian was in that photograph. I have lupus and I've had 4 strokes. I was diagnosed when I was 15, but I had my first stroke at 22. Oh my goodness, and I'm blind on my right side. I totally get it. I mispronounce words. I get like dyslexia. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Desiree. That's hard. That is so hard. Hey, One Eye Flo. Good morning. What info? Dwayne Chapman was the one who found all those people at oceanfront property. Well, somebody did the math, and for him to be able to find as many people as he claimed, he'd have to find like it was like I'd have to see it again, but I believe it was like 1.83 people a day or something every day. It just didn't add up. Oh, I want to show you guys something really quick. Give me 1 second, and then we'll get right into all of that. I didn't watch the entire interview. I was having a good day. Somebody sent it to me, and I took a look, and then I was in there for a few minutes, and I just really couldn't handle it at that time. I just wish that they came in not biased. That's it. That's all I wish for. I feel like it would have gotten a lot further had they come in and not been biased, but they came in on behalf of somebody else. So, of course, they're going to come in biased. And that really sucks for Sebastian because it really limits the thoughts, right? It really, it's just sad. But hold on, I want to see something really quick. Now, listen, I don't know if these people are being biased or not, but I do want to show you guys something. All right. I want to, because everybody keeps saying, well, he's out there looking, he's out there looking. And there are lots of cases of people that go out and look for their child and end up being the cause. Now, I'm not saying Seth is the cause because I've always said I don't believe Seth is the cause, right? For all I know, maybe the Proudfoots are these horrible people. How would I know? I don't know them. You know what I mean? We only know what we've been shown to know. And the other thing is, who's representing them, right? Like, who are they in conversations with? Here's what I know. You may say words funny sometimes, but you mean stupid. You're very intelligent. You're relatable. Even though you've pissed me off on many occasions, you grow. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I agree, Trina B, but unfortunately, people have taken sides because without the bad guy, good guy, nobody would be talking about Sebastian. I haven't lately, Pristine, no. On top of personally understanding the worst situation, both my kids have speech issues and get bullied on. Right, and then you got this grown-ass woman who sits behind her computer desk all day while her owner doing whatever, who knows, bullying. And from my understanding and what I've heard, personal experiences with speech impediments, she should be embarrassed of herself, but she won't. I just also don't understand how so many of these people that don't even have custody of their own kids go around judging Katie's parenting. It really baffles my mind. Like, how can you be an absent parent yourself, but judge somebody's parenting? And there's a lot of creators that do this, that talk about these children cases that don't even raise their own. There's a lot. And I mean a lot. But anyway, check this out, right? Does this sound familiar?
Hey, man, I don't know who got my kid, man, but I want my kid back, man. That's my child, man. I want my kid, man.
Right? This guy was the only one out looking for his kid that day.
You need to give him back. He's my son, and he doesn't belong to nobody, but damn it, he's mine.
That's interesting. Just saying, that's a little interesting. So I don't know if anybody's ever heard of this case, but it's the short life of Kayla McNabb. She was a newborn who disappeared from her home overnight. The father was the only one out looking.
Hey, man, I don't know who got my kid, man, but I want my kid back, man. That's my child, man. I want my kid, man.
Yeah. It's a good thing he was the only one out searching. What does Katie's weight have to do with anything? Who spoke about her weight? I don't know. Listen, for all I know, Chris Proudfoot could be the biggest piece of shit on earth. Katie could be the sneakiest piece of shit on earth. I don't know. The only thing I know is I judge Seth Rogers based off what he says. And I'll be honest, I never looked that closely into what the Proudfoots say. Maybe I should. I don't know. I mean, you know, who knows? Yep, found her in the back of the woods. Yep. Dog called her fat. Well, has he seen Seth? I mean, that's just ignorant. What does it matter if Katie's fat? She didn't really look fat to me. Oh, see, I didn't get to see all that. So we'll have to take a look. We'll have to take a look. It's in the book. And we heard several times now Seth do this whole thing about, it's my child. Again, I'm not saying that means he's guilty. I'm just proving that people do that.
And he doesn't belong to nobody, but damn it, he's mine.
People do that. All right, so let's get into dog. I have a feeling I'm going to just be a little annoyed, but what would I know? We already know Jennifer is in the pockets of Tony Mathis, right? That we know without a doubt. There is no in that. It has been boldly stated and loudly claimed. So you can't deny that. That's just, it is what it is, what it is. Was a small at one time. Yeah. Dog says she put 60 pounds on because she's feeling guilty. I don't know if that's why she did. I don't know if that's why Seth did. I don't know if that's why Chris did. But they all gained some weight. They all sure gained some weight.
Offered up a $50,000 in addition to the FBI's $50,000 reward for information leading to Sebastian or to what happened to Sebastian. So without further ado, come on, dog, join me on stage.
Aloha, how are you, ma'am? Yeah.
Aloha. All right, wait a minute. Give me just 1 second. I want to show you guys this because I keep hearing like, shame on you if you guys call Seth Rogers a predator. He's not a predator, right? And it's really horrible to accuse people of sex crimes, right? We would all agree with that. All right. Now let me get over here. Let me stop sharing for a second. I want to show you guys something. This is the only way I know how to do it. All right. Let me get it over here. Hey, sweet Sativia. Keto Kim. Can I show you guys something really quick? Former owners of, I guess, HMAC in Harrisburg awarded nearly $5 million in defamation suit. Dauphin County judge awarded the founder of a Harrisburg arts and entertainment venue $4.7 million in a defamation case stemming from a social media firestorm in 2008. It is said to be among the largest awards in defamation case in Dauphin County, according to Lisa Bezel, a Harrisburg attorney who represented John Trainer in the case. What could this be about? June 30th, Trainer, former owner of Harrisburg Midtown Arts Center in Midtown, suffered damages to his reputation and business related to stories published in 2018 by YC News Network, a Philadelphia-based website, as well as social media posts. YC News. What is YC News? Furthermore, McNally ruled the incident destroyed the business, hurt Trainer's reputation, and forced him to file for bankruptcy. In addition, he said YC News acted with malice while defamatory statements accused HMAC of perpetrating sexual assault. McNally ordered Sean Cooper, Nicholas Hasafaso, who? Oh, Nick the Hat. Nick the Hat. Oh, shit. And Travis Wilbur and YC News, now known as At Night Media, to pay damages, including $3.1 million to Trainer and his partners Chuck London and Gary Bartlett, operating as Bartlett Trainer London LLC. He also told the defendants to pay $1.2 million to Trainer for loss of investment. What did they do? Furthermore, McNally awarded Trainer $250,000. What is that? $250,000? Shit. For damage to his reputation, ordered each defendant to pay $25,000 in punitive damages. So Nick worked for YC News. young continuance. Is that how you say it? I don't know. Wilbur's listen. Oh, what is that called? Like the 1A community, A1 community type of thing, like anti-government agitators or something like that, right? Huh. Where'd I hear that before? Not me. So anyway, YC News, Nick the Hat, forwarded a statement from attorney Norm Pattis on behalf of Original Media Group Corporation. How many different names have we heard? How many different names? We've heard YC, Original Media Group Corporation. Then we've heard At Night Media. And now it's At Night Investigators. Wow. Okay. Wilbur is listed in suit for defamatory comments made on Penn Live story related to HMAC's bankruptcy. In addition, McNally ordered the blog to remove 2 stories. There's a default judgment. I suspect it will quickly be set aside when a court learns that several defendants never received notice of the suit. You can't defend what no one makes you aware of. Oh, good old I was never served. Right? Good old I was never served. It's a very large award and defamation action, particularly to Mr. Trainers individually. That is a very, very large award. The evidence was clear. The business and Mr. Trainer sustained those damages. What were the damaging comments? The only thing Judge John McNally had to go on was they had to go bankrupt. They had to sell the business at a loss. Trainer said he doubts he'll see any of the settlement money. Well, he's out here making money now. He's hired by the elite, sir. Pay attention. Pay attention. HMAC discussed allegations a woman posted on Facebook blaming HMAC after she was SA'd. According to court documents, the woman posted on Facebook she was drugged. Wow. While at HMAC, escorted from the premises and handed over by HMAC security to a man who RAPED'd her. The woman's original story was posted to social media in July 2018, but was taken down quickly. However, her original allegations were shared around Facebook through screenshots and copies of the post. YC News, aka Nick the Hat, repeated the allegations even after police debunked some of the claims. So even after they debunk some of the claims, they don't care about the truth. You think they're here to tell the truth? They care about the salacious claims, the juiciness that gets sold. Harrisburg police made an arrest in her case, but denied many of the claims the woman made, including she was drugged inside the bar. Although the woman also said several other people came forward to state they had been drugged or mistreated at HMAC, Harrisburg police said they received no complaints of that nature. Subsequently, the woman later acknowledged her allegations were false. The woman later acknowledged, I can get you in the Me Too movement, and I can take you out of the Me Too movement. Oh, I'm going to get to that because I seen that lady's comments in the group prior to her appearance last night, her paid appearance, in my opinion. And she hasn't seen Katie since she was a little girl. Previously told Penn Live that there was a direct correlation between accusations and HMAC losing business, ultimately causing the ownership going bankrupt. YC News was singled out in a lawsuit for posting additional stories after police denied the woman's allegation, reiterating many of her allegations, stating that HMAC is infamous for feeding vulnerable and helpless girls to men regularly. Wow, that's such a bold statement. They're infamous for feeding vulnerable and helpless girls to men regularly. The lawsuit described the way several of the defendants posted social media, on video, and blogs to either reiterate the original allegation or expand on them. In several cases, blaming Trainer specifically as one that participates in drugging the woman and assaulting patrons. The lawsuit lists these allegations as false claims. In the lawsuit, he claimed to suffer serious and permanent damages, including but not limited to mental anguish, emotional distress, humiliation, embarrassment, and loss of his good reputation. I'm going to go further up here. What was the settlement again? Wow. $3.1 million. $3.1 million. I just found that article to be interesting. Listen, I didn't write it. Didn't write it. But there it is. Oh, is that what she said, Constance? Maybe it's time I pull up her original comments, if you don't mind. Oh, I hit the mic. I'm sorry if that was loud. Hit the mic. Apologize. I apologize. All right. So Miss Yada over here. I've reported your group, which guidelines no harassment to Facebook. Dear God, we haven't seen or heard from Katie since she was a girl. Maybe she was at her first wedding where Katie was just a teenager when she was married to Seth. Maybe that's when. I don't know. But do you think Yada was lying in a personal message she wrote somebody? Or do you think she was lying for a juicy interview? I mean, we just saw an article that basically states people will lie for juicy articles. So what do you think? You think she's telling the truth now? You think she's lying then? You think she's lying in private? Put a 1. You think she's lying on a public interview? Put a 2. I will. I just don't know how a distant that'd be like one of my distant relatives I don't even know coming out of the woodworks, right? Yada says she never met Seth. Interesting. You're so close, but you never met Seth. You never met Sebastian. Okay. I mean, hell, what do I know, to be honest? I don't know. I am not in any way related to the Rogers family. My cousin, which I have nothing to do with, is Katie's mother. I do love Katie's grandmother, my Aunt Susan, dearly. She is desperately hurting for her great-grandson, Sebastian. I've never met spoken. That's interesting, don't you think? I have some other interesting ones you guys want to say. Damn, I keep hitting the mic. Let me check these out. We all remember Binocular Bobby, right? Everybody remember Bobby? Oh, she says she met Sebastian. Weird. In her original messages, she never did. That's strange. I mean, hell, what do I know? An emergency alert just went out. This is Bobby, right? Everyone around Long Hollow Pike, we need your help. My neighbor just posted this on our neighborhood page. Please help. Emergency, please, if anyone has a camera, please check it between midnight and 6. My son is missing. Please, if you can check anything, it may help find him. He's 5'5", blonde hair, autistic male. I made it public. So that was Katie's posting, right? Katie's begging, please check your cameras. Please check your cameras. What are you talking about, Cricket Day? So Katie, emergency, please check all your cameras. My son is missing. I've not been asked to post this. I post on my own just from information I've received from my kids who have been out with several law enforcement departments and talking to them myself. All right. So again, I am posting on my own just from information I've received from my kids who have been out with several of the law enforcement departments and talking to them myself. Okay. No matter where you live in or around Long Hollow or now beyond, if you have security cameras, please check them. Check them for any time period of yesterday. We don't have cameras, but from what I'm hearing of those who do have cameras, you may have received an alert due to it being so dark outside. You may not have received an alert due to it being so dark outside. From what I am hearing, you may not have received an alert. Please check them anyway. Just to make sure you don't see this boy walk around your yard. If you see anything off, please call the police. The police are asking everyone to check their cameras. Bobby sounds good, like a good person. All right. Search. That girl loves attention. She met him at the funeral of Katie's grandparents. All right. I know I get it. Everyone is worried about him. We all are. His parents more than anyone. Do you see that? His parents more than anyone. I promise the police and all first responders are doing everything in their power, using all their high-tech equipment, professionals, experts, etc. to look for him. We've had police in all different units all over our property. The new construction next door, up and down our entire neighborhood, no stone has been left unturned, so to speak. She sure came out singing a different tune, right? Have you hit the thumbs up? Please hit the thumbs up. Also, I am the admin of a private Facebook group. I've had over a dozen requests to join our group since Sebastian went missing. Again, I know you want to know what is happening, but I'm not allowing outside people into our group. Our group is for neighbors. Also, the police have asked multiple times, even told us not to search on our own and not to create their own search parties. Isn't that interesting? What is this date? February 29th. The police have asked multiple times, even told us not to search on our own. So the neighbors were even being told not to search. So why is it so hard to believe that the parents were as well? They have said it on the news, on social media. People continue to try and set up their own search party. I know we all worried and desperate to help, but you going off on your own actually takes resources and time away from the investigation because they see you on their heat cameras. Have to go hunt you down so they can find out what you were doing and what you know. That actually happened to one of my twins Monday. We were having a neighborhood vigil last night. When it was over, the SWAT asked us politely to go home. Being out there was making them have to stop and ask us what we're doing. They appreciate what we were doing, but need us to clear the area. Last note, the police have asked multiple times for everyone to stay vigilant on their own property, checking their property constantly, checking their cameras constantly. They say you are welcome to drive around and keep your eyes open. They said on the news yesterday, the best way you can help is to keep sharing information on social media. Just keep your eyes open. So they said you can drive around. This doesn't read well. A kid is missing. You're upset about traffic in your neighborhood. The police have suggested people drive around and look for him, and that's inconveniencing you. Now, this is what I found interesting about Bobby. Sorry if I'm losing you. Just keep up with me for a second. I don't understand why people get stuck on a traffic situation when everything else I said was talking about how hard we have all been looking. The only reason I brought up the whole traffic thing is the families in our neighborhood are trying to move on with their lives. The families in our neighborhood are trying to move on with their lives. She wrote this on February 29th. You're trying to move on with your life 3 days after a child in your neighborhood disappears. But then what? 5 months later, you're doing interviews on JLR. You're on social media, now singing a different tune, talking about how you dislike the parents, and all of a sudden, the police did this and the police did that. Isn't that weird? All right, Bobby. Doesn't seem like you wanted to move on when you were jumping on that panel. Even the police stated they needed everyone to clear out. Out of everything else I said, that's what you're going to get stuck on. We have tried looking for him. We have done everything that we can as a neighborhood to look for him. What the police said was, while you were out going to work or driving around, keep your eyes open. They said they couldn't stop people from driving around. Who remembers when Katie said, and Chris said, I didn't see that, no, you can email me it, that the police, I'm sorry. Who remembers when the Proudfoot said that neighbors are tired of the traffic, and everybody thought that they were just making that up. This is Bobby, the neighbor Bobby, who did the interview with JLR. But the families are just trying to move on with their lives. Again, until she came out months later and knew all the business. Thank you so much, Snazzy. Let me fix my thing over here. This is why Chris was upset when Bobby and kids were searching, because they were told very quickly not to. If you believe Chris confronted them. I do believe he confronted them. And I believe he did it as respectfully as he could. I mean, at this point, they ran the Facebook group and they were disparaging them already, apparently. But then you had her over there saying things like that. And again, 3 days after Sebastian disappeared, they just want to move on. All right. Hope you do. Wow. And again, until she wanted to come on and get her 5 minutes of YouTube fame.
Yay, FBI.
So glad to have you here. Listen,
JLR
I am
hiding
one
a
that
phone?
gets right down to nuts and bolts. So
Yeah.
we're going to start on in. Dog, first of all, tell me, how did you hear about the Sebastian Rogers case, and what enticed you to go ahead and bring your skill set to helping find him?
Well, hearing about it, I'm going to blame on my new little partner, Nick the Hat, because
That's how you heard about it? That's how Nick heard about Nick. That's how Dog heard about it. Who remembers months back Dog was commenting on Sebastian Rogers? Anybody else remember that? He did like an interview with somebody. I can't be the only person that remembers that, but that was months back. We even spoke about it over here. Huh. But now this is how you heard of it. Okay. That's interesting. I remember it being months ago. Anybody else? You remember that? You guys remember that? We did talk about it on a panel. I can't find it right now, but I will. I will find it.
He's a
Yeah, it was a
internet sleuth.
podcast.
I mean, this, and I'm sorry to say kid, but young man is fantastic. So
He's a what?
and I'm sorry to say, he's a internet sleuth. I mean, this, and
You got a lot of titles there, Nicky boy.
I'm sorry to say kid, but young man is fantastic. So he said, he knows
Wonder how
about the
concerned you'd
bounty
be
hunting. And
if you, just like
when
the
he
rest
was
of the
young, he
world, if you
watched the
couldn't
show
make
and he
bank
said,
off him.
dog, if you
Are you implying on making bank? Do you want to write that in an adult way so we can converse? Oh, I know YouTube. Thank you. They did. They worked together very recently in the other escaped convict situation.
you'd get in on this, and I have found missing children, by the way. And if you get in on this, everybody's, all your followers, all your friends, all your peeps are going to get behind you. So that was the reason that I first initiated in. Then, I'm a bounty hunter, truth and justice, right? And now.
Oh, I apologize. Don't dive. Unfortunately, you have to follow fair use. So if you'd like to hear it without me interrupting, I am obligated as a YouTube channel holder to follow fair use, which means I have to stop and commentate every so often. So if you'd like to hear without me, you can go to the original source and hear it. Now, I feel like I didn't hear what you just heard.
He knows about the bounty hunting and is fantastic. I mean, this, and I'm sorry to say kid, but young man is fantastic. So he said, he knows about the bounty hunting. And when he was young, he watched the show and he said, dog, if you get in on this, and I have found missing children, by the way, and if you get in on this, everybody's, all your followers, all your friends, all your peeps are going to get behind you. So that was.
Dog, if you get in on this, you'll get a lot of publicity. Is that what you heard, Cheesy? That's what I heard. That's what I heard. Which is why I think they're kind of switching the attention. Like, hey, you, Mr. Lasniak, you come over here, but you, Bruce Castor, come over here. Get in on this. Get in on this. Well, excuse me, did anybody else see the let me send it to myself so I can show you. I'll let this play while I get
the reason that I first initiated in. Then, I'm a bounty hunter, truth and justice, right? And now that I'm in the case, first of all, I thought, someone, maybe his real father could have done something. And because that's what was the rumors on everywhere, right? Then after looking.
That's not what the rumors were everywhere, dog. That's not what the rumors were everywhere. Especially the beginning of this. The rumors were that Seth was the great father and the Proudfoots were guilty. Right? So, I don't know. The only thing, I think if Dog came in and wasn't biased, I think he would see things differently. That's just my opinion on it. Again, unless Dog knows things we don't know. This is from Nick. Expect a test run of weekly or bi-weekly episodes and we'll fine-tune as we journey forward. The pursuit of the next big story. The pursuit of the next big story, like the Cavalcante case, is already underway. Ain't that interesting? The pursuit of the next big story. So that's what you're doing. You're pursuing big stories. Okay? I mean, if people are still like fooled by this, I don't know what to tell you. It cracks me up because I did hear somebody start to have a little different tune after they listened to their friend Josh from the lab. But then they saw there was money to be had by acting like this guy's BFF. Oh, and by the way, just so we're clear, I'm about the only person who got up and said, don't contact anybody's parole officer. Okay? Anybody else remember me saying that? I recall me saying that. So stop using a missing child for your personal vendettas. Your enthusiasm has been electric, and we've cherished every moment just as much, if not more than all of you. This journey we're on is as much yours as it is ours. It's only just begun. Below is a little poll to dive into what you'd like to see more of on our channel. Because again, after Cavalcante, their channel kind of took a dive, right? And they tried to keep it going by pursuing like legal action against local law enforcement and, you know, kind of poking local authorities and stuff, but it didn't get them very far. I didn't get them very far. Are they still commenting? Listen, if you're going to write and be rude in the chat, at least hit the thumbs up or get out. Below is a little poll. Remember, in case another multi-day stream event unfolds, that will jump straight to the forefront. Straight to the forefront. Anybody else seeing this? This is why Chris was upset when Bobby and kids were. Oh, wait. Granny, you see SF tweet that Seth was on short-term disability since August. He posted receipts. 26 weeks and in February 24th. 2 days before Sebastian disappeared. Oof. It looks like they were just looking for the next big thing, but I don't, what do I know? I wish we knew where Dog was getting his research. That's what I really wish. Because again, is any of this coming from law enforcement or is it just YouTube speculation? I mean, Dog here just admitted that at first he thought the biological father could have been guilty because that's what YouTube social media was saying. So does Dog go off of social media or does he do his own research?
Into where he was, what was going on with him, now getting to know him, it was not the real dad. So now it's a bounty hunt. I may have to say that what was going on with him, now getting to know him, it was not the real dad.
So right there, he got to know Seth. So now he doesn't think Seth is guilty. But did you get to know the Proudfoots? Because as far as we know, everybody cannot be guilty. It could be as simple as Sebastian ran away. But that doesn't sell. And we all know that doesn't sell. Thank you, Roro, for asking.
So now it's a bounty hunt. I may have to say, on your show who I think it is. I'm not sure if I should. But now I'm going after I hope they do believe. I hope they bolt. Because I will chase them, as you know, anywhere, even into Mexico.
Just like you chased Brian Laundrie, who you swore wasn't in Florida, but he was, and you were on a whole nother island? Just like that? I mean, what? I hope they flee because I will chase them? Like, why are you threatening people, dog? You haven't even spoke to them. I'm so glad that Dog the Bounty Hunter is searching for Nicholas and helping Sean with his son. Ain't that fact? Isn't that a shame, beats him? It's really sad because a lot of people truly believe these guys, and I think that is what makes me upset. Listen, again, I'm not saying the Proudfoots are innocent. I don't know. I don't know. How would I know? You think they're going to tell YouTubers anything that incriminates them?
So, that's the reason I'm in it. And the reason that I'm going to absolutely, with all the help.
Thank you, Roro. Welcome.
We're going to find where he is and who helped him get away, or if he is passed away, who did that. You know what I mean? So we're all praying that he's still with us.
Absolutely, Dog. So this is so interesting to me because when you think about it, right, this goes to the point that Sebastian's name wasn't getting out there. It was, in fact, a Nick who came to.
Well, let me ask you a question, Jennifer Coffendoffer. If you're saying it got to the point Sebastian's name wasn't getting out there, then why wasn't she put his name out there? If Jennifer has the audience, why didn't she make sure his name stayed out there? I agree, Janae.
To you, point that Sebastian's name wasn't getting out there. It was in fact a Nick who came to you and let you know about what was happening here. That shows to me how little attention was being brought to him, more on a nation.
What? Who recalls that Nick was over there saying, JLR, thanks to your audience and you staying on this case, we've caught wind of it. And put a 1 in the chat if anybody else recalls him making that comment. That basically, thanks to all of you YouTubers who kept Sebastian's name out there, we're now aware of it. He even said as much on his little videos. So what are you talking about, Coffindoffer? Really, what are you talking about? And if you're friends with TikTok Tony, who is the spokesman for Seth Rogers, why didn't you do your part in keeping his name out there, Jennifer? You know what I mean?
Nationwide stage. In other words, dog, you weren't getting in your car and hearing about Sebastian Rogers. And I think now people are. They're hearing about it even more. People like yourself and many other people.
Well, I think people, Jennifer, were.
This is when dogs should speak up and say, I was on a podcast about 4 or 5 months in. And when on that podcast, I spoke about Sebastian. So no, I'm not just hearing of him. If you think that's why people are getting upset, Amy, then you're absolutely ridiculous, sweetheart. Okay? You're ridiculous if you think that's the cause. Control the narrative? You think this is controlling the narrative? What they're doing? Huh.
Scared because the stepfather, while the volunteers were out volunteering, to help find the boy, he one lady's got him on video threatening her, saying, "You better get out of here. Just get out of here." Well, she's saying, we're here to help find, your son, Sebastian. The cops are here. That's enough. Then
where's that police report? Where's that police report? Let's hear that again. Let me slow it. Let me slow him down because I sped him up a little bit because,
to help find the boy, he one lady's got him on video threatening her, saying, "You better get out of here. Just get out of here." Well, she's saying, we're here to help find, your son, Sebastian. The cops are here. That's enough. Then the horse.
Oh, I know what he's talking about. He's talking about Bobby. That's who he's talking about. Bobby, who right here herself said that people being out are distracting from the police and that even she was told to go home.
The people, the volunteers on the back of a horse was saying, or riding a horse, were saying they were harassed too. Then the dog handlers, the bloodhounds, those people were harassed. Now, I did a Brian Laundrie, which is coming on, and I'd like to have you on my dogcast too, please.
Oh, there it is. Dog has a dogcast. Who didn't know something was going on? Wow. Makes sense now. Okay. So, wow. The horses were threatened. Everybody was threatened. But yet, even after that, when there was no longer people searching on horseback and all that the police came out and said, we've not received any reports of threats. Right?
But I did a Brian Laundrie, and I'm starting a new dogcast. And the reason we...
Oh, he's starting a new one. There it is. There it is. Wow. Wow, I knew there was something, and there it is. You know what? You got to give it to them. You got to give it to them. Very clever. You guys were very clever in what you just did.
You should have seen the volunteers. FBI retired, CIA retired, police that were there. This same dog lady that went there from Florida, she had 3 different dogs, a bloodhound. All those people, not just Dog and his team, but all those people started getting leads and leads and leads and leads.
And your lead led you to a whole different place than where he was, Dog. Are you going to admit that and mention that? Are you going to say that you were way off on Brian Laundrie, that you swore he was not even in the state anymore? You were off on that.
And that's been throughout my whole career. As someone, as you know, you don't look in a glass ball and genie, rub it, and it's people that in confidence will tell us who did it, where they're at, why they did it, and now there's $100,000 reward. So I just can't believe that the stepfather would allegedly, let's be sure that word's, even though this lady's got him on tape, would run people off. That is I've done this.
Well, dog, she shared that situation with us all publicly, and it's at the same time that police were walking around and following heat sources. That's why. I mean, again, there's a lot of things Chris has done that seem like really suspicious, but when you put the full context, it's like, that makes sense. Like even him saying, like, this is a case that will be studied for years to come. He turned around and said, the police said this will be a case studied for years to come. People always leave that part off. Now, am I saying that, Chris doesn't give off bad vibes? No, of course he does. We've all heard him, but not enough to say, oh yeah, he's guilty. Right, Nicholas, he doesn't even know what they're talking about. No, nobody corrects this guy ever. You know why? Because he's a quote unquote celebrity that they're fawning over, in my opinion.
44 years, captured over 10,000 fugitives. I understand that,
he wasn't even close, Harley Ryder.
Cause in your world, you gotta have probable cause. But I was trained, probable cause means probably.
Wow.
You probably did this, or you probably broke into this place. So there's enough probable cause that I'm creating, Nick and I, that even if we don't find Sebastian alive, that the perpetrator is going to be arrested.
You guys are creating probable cause. TBI, FBI, and LE came out and said there just isn't any. Unbelievable.
I think it's great because I've seen this evolve from you. Obviously, I've been keeping a very close eye on what you've been saying in the media because I wanted to see how things had been evolving since you first got involved. And one of the things was I first noticed that you made comments, that you thought he was alive, and then you made other comments that he may or may not, and it's starting to evolve that now you think you might know who you believe based on different clues that you've been given, who might be responsible. And I wanted to bring everybody's attention to that this
people are asking, do you advertise his book? Yes, right here and right here. Okay. This is like unbelievable that Jennifer Coffin, again, they're creating. Have they spoken to the Proudfoots? I don't understand it.
Wasn't dog going in.
I wish they came in not biased.
So-and-so did it or so-and-so didn't.
No.
Nothing happened or he walked away. I've seen an evolution. Tell us, dog, what is your final conclusion? And then we'll talk about how you got there.
Well, let's talk about before the final, Jennifer. Let's talk about how I got there.
All right.
You're a former G woman, fan. So I got to watch what I say. So we first thought that he was, and still I don't know if he's alive,
how I feel about that.
or if he's deceased. But I first thought he was absolutely alive, the way people were talking and that this and that. Now, the reasons I think he may not be with us still is that he had to do a special drug for sleeping and another drug for something else. But
this is why he thinks he's not alive. Listen closely. A special drug for sleeping.
I guess there has been rumors that there's 2 drugs from one side of the family, and then his dad says there was only 1. Now,
and the only one was a sleepy time drug, right? And who remembers Seth saying he didn't give Sebastian that drug? Put a 1 in the chat. With utmost respect, needing a drug to sleep is not going to cause you to die if you don't have it. Okay? Repeat it with me. Needing something to go to sleep is not a life or death situation. There are many over-the-counter sleeping drugs that could replace that. So the fact that he's saying that Seth said there was only one drug and it was a sleepy time drug, and Seth himself didn't give him that sleepy time drug, but for that reason alone, Dog is concluding he must no longer be with us, is a bit ridiculous, don't you think? Lots of ones. So a lot of you think.
Drug, he didn't need no drugs. That one drug, a heavy sleeping, no drug. Now, that one drug, he didn't need no drugs. That one drug.
Did he just say he didn't need no drugs? All right, stop interrupting. Let me stop interrupting. Listen to this again.
And another drug to do. The reasons I think he may not be with us still is that he had to do a special drug for sleeping and another drug for something else. But I guess there has been rumors that there's two drugs from one side of the family, and then his dad says there was only one. Now, that one drug, he didn't need no drugs. That one drug, a heavy sleeping pill, was when he was with the mom. Sebastian was with his real mother, and about 2 to 3 weeks before he disappeared, he started doing that sleeping pill. It wasn't that he had to do the drugs all, 13, 12, whatever years.
13, 12, whatever years. He's 15. He's 15, dog. So, all right. So Dog believes because he doesn't have this one drug, he must no longer be with us, but he's also saying he didn't need to take this one drug, right? Am I understanding this correctly? Oh, Lordy.
All of a sudden, I'm not exactly right because I haven't read the court papers.
Hey, Kit.
But it sounded to me like the real dad was there was a custody change.
The real dad.
He was getting custody of the child. And a couple weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, before he was to receive Sebastian physically, he disappears.
Well, that's not quite true either, Dog. That's not even, I mean, who was giving Dog this information? Seth. Because that's not quite true either, Dog. Seth has slipped up and stated he was supposed to get full custody of Sebastian. Then it was supposed to just be for the summer. He hasn't been very transparent in what it was supposed to be. But even if that were the case, everybody, maybe Sebastian ran out the house because he didn't want to go live there. Wow. Okay.
Now, I lost a daughter, okay, Barbara Katie. I still to this day have her key ring. I would never throw things away that are Barbara Katie's. And, I have a lot of kids and a lot of them won't either. I would search and search if Barbara was missing. One of my kids is missing. I would not stop searching. Now, guess what side of the family has stopped searching? Again, this is all guess.
Which side of the family? The side that Bobby here missed? The police begged nobody to search, to stop. Police have asked multiple times, even told us not to search. That side? The side that followed what Ellie wanted? And again, with utmost respect, how often is Seth out there actually searching? Respectfully.
And what's the word? I can't say it's absolutely true, but alleged.
What's the word, Jennifer? The word alleged. What is that word again, Jennifer?
It's conclusions you're making based on your past experiences, what you've seen people do, and what you're seeing in this case, I think.
Yes. And then his favorite color is green.
Okay.
His favorite.
Can I also, Betty's taking credit for selling out green light bulbs. Betty, it was announced not too long ago that green was to represent our military. So I want to go that, Last I saw, Nick was saying they had good evidence that Sebastian was living with someone else and going to school under a different name. Did they dish that? Yeah. Yes, they did. They did dish that. Brittany, did you ever show proof that the police were in your driveway the other day because you received threats? I'll give you that. I mean, if you think you've really blurred out your house, people figured you out really quickly after you doxed yourself. So I can understand why the police came. What I can't understand is why you were in a chat as the police were in your driveway. But I did hear somebody's going to FOIA that, so we'll find out. How did he walk away if he was on sleeping pills? You just heard them both say that he didn't need the sleeping medication, right? Maybe he didn't take the sleeping medication that night. After all, his father never gave them to him. You're right, Lauren.
He loves animals, okay? So Green, he loves animals.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something else that he...
It was amazing. So Brittany got attention over here as she doxed herself in the chat and was claiming she received threatening emails. So I asked Brittany if she would forward them to me. And then all of a sudden they weren't threatening, but they were, basically disparaging. And then she told me she's not going to send them to me. And she left this chat and immediately went over to another chat where she claimed that she was being threatened. So she called the police because she was doxxed and fearful for her life. And the police were in her driveway. And she was asking that YouTube creator what she should do. And, as the police were in her driveway. So I was just wondering whatever came of that, Brittany. I hope you're okay and you're safe. To be fair, you still only see the parents of a missing child for about 5 minutes. Thank you, Patricia. That's so true. And then because, there was this whole YouTube thing where the Wells really took advantage of it and Seth Rogers took advantage of it. We have normalized parents being in the spotlight, more than they should be. Such a great point, Patricia. I didn't even consider that.
I can't think of it right now. But there's another thing that he absolutely does. So those things
you can't
were not
think
put
of it?
out there. The mom had custody, live with the mom. That's the way that you find these little guys or girls like that, is they're experts in some things. And he was, then there's pictures of him.
No, not BJ.
For somewhere dressed like a girl, looking like that. So, I mean, it's just, there's so many.
What, Constance? It wasn't, you were watching what whole thing last night? It wasn't last night. It was during the day. What did he just say?
That is, they're experts in some things. And he was, then there's pictures of him, for somewhere dressed like a girl, looking like that. So,
Seth, are there pictures of your son out here dressed like a girl? And what does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with anything? Hey, Titanium. If he was dressed like a girl, what does that have to do with anything, dog? Did you just want to throw that in there? I mean, how old was he? Was he 5 years old and he wanted to wear a dress? What age was he and what does that mean? What does it matter? Right, Mike O'Toole, what does that even mean? Why was that important to throw in there? Uncle Taco, pick up a girl on the vault panel. He's just found off random Twitter shit. Terry Lynn, March 18th. Seth told us Sebastian was on sleep meds when he was younger, but he didn't need them anymore. What? I just don't understand. Maybe they thought he was now a girl going to a different school. I don't know. What is going on? This is weird.
I mean, it's just, there's so many things that don't add up.
That would make sense.
On the mother, the stepdad. Then he allegedly says, Dog the Bounty Hunter will never, ever, ever find Sebastian.
Did anybody hear Chris say that? And if so, can you direct me to it? Did Chris say that? That Dog the Bounty Hunter will never, ever, ever find Sebastian? He wanted to change his identity? Pat? Huh. I would need a little proof of this. I know, Mimi. I know. Nobody heard him say that? Where was this stated? Did anybody ask Dog? Does Jennifer go on to ask him where we can hear that? Can dog throw some proof on the screen, maybe like play the clips or show the threats or show, the picture? Oh.
So, so did
Basically,
Andrew Luster. I don't know if you remember that case. 87
oh, you
counts of
got
rape.
blocked?
They'll never. And I caught Luster in 4 months. So there
How long did it take you to catch Brian Laundrie?
are so many TV shows out there where, oh, dog, you can't find him. And usually it's the.
Yeah, I was going to wait till Dog said it, but I think we'll go over to it now. That's a great question. So B10 wants to know what we think of this. And I think this is a good thing to bring focus to now. Thank you, B10. Jennifer Coffenduffer finds it sus that Katie wasn't comfortable staying at the house alone while Chris worked out of town to make a living and pay the bills. Maybe this concept is foreign to JC and Seth, considering Seth has been milking disability since August of 2023. The shoulder injury wasn't from searching, as portrayed. Told you all. That was listed in his DVRO from years back. Had nothing to do with searching. And I don't know how searching would agitate your shoulder injury, but, He got hired as a jailer, and 2 days after receiving his first raise, less than 6 months in, he started milking the disability system. JC faults Chris and Katie for not cheating the insurance system. That's some solid investigative work. Why are they going after Chris and Katie so hard and not focusing on searching for Sebastian? That is the question of the freaking month, because this is the question I want to know as well. Is this just a cover campaign for Seth? What's the payoff they are working towards? Publicity would be my opinion. Wow. Employee number, Seth Rogers, 8/4/2023, short-term disability. Went out on short-term disability on 8/4/23. So next evaluation date was February 2nd. He's class code correctional officer, so he's not recognized as a deputy sheriff. Full-time employment, protective service workers, probationary pay, 8/4/23. Date and current job, 8/2/23. What do you guys think of that? That's, wow, interesting. Employee has used 1092 hours of leave during the probationary period. The new probationary end is 8/1/2024. Oh. So in August, it ended. When did they start the investigation into his timesheets? What is this? Wow. Huh. What do you guys think? Yeah, just a few, weeks before Sebastian disappeared. Posted the wrong thing. Hey, Jammers. What's up, my girl? Hey, Pearl. Hey, Megan. He had just returned to work. Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. He had just returned to work, and his hourly rate is $21.18, and his next evaluation would be February 2nd. Huh. Hey, B-Tim.
Yeah, it shows that he basically returned to work. It looks like, because he took 1,092 hours, right? And if you do 12-hour shifts, that's like 90 days. You kind of put the weekends, it kind of puts it back to like 24. So I don't know what the hell's going on, and why wasn't it mentioned this entire time? It says continue. You go into position, it says continue service date. I don't know. I think he came back. Actually, that's wrong. I think he came back like in February, because that's like 3 months, right? 3 months, maybe 4. I don't know. Let me see. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, because continued service date was 2/24/23.
Yeah.
And then his next evaluation was the 2nd of February of this year.
Yeah, so he basically took like a couple of months off. I'm wrong with the date, actually. I was wrong. But he took a couple of months off, and then he comes back, and it's just weird why he never mentioned it. But it explains why the GoFundMe was done, right?
Yes, it
Basically,
explains it very well.
yeah. Basically,
Wow.
he took up all his time off from like being off from work, and then basically when Sebastian went missing, he didn't have any more time to go off, so he did the GoFundMe. But why wasn't that mentioned?
Right, and to top it off, well, what about the fact that his coworkers gave him their paid time off pool and apparently accumulated so much that they put an end to it?
Yeah, I don't know why he didn't mention it, because that would have explained a lot. That would have been an actual good explanation on why he needed to do the GoFundMe, because he needed to take the time off because he already took off the disability time. But then why not mention it, and why pretend that you got injured while looking for Sebastian?
Right. And what is this? Return to work pending documentation?
Let me look at.
Up here, went out on short-term disability on 8/4/23, returned to work pending documentation. So then he would have been placed on light work, which would be, for example, the garage would be light work.
Yeah.
Light duty. Wow. What STD hours year? What is that? STD. Wow, this is very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows you that why was he not just being honest and say, yeah, I was hit with disability. I basically took off a couple of months. I burnt up all my time. I burnt up 1,092 hours. But yet he never mentioned it. This is the first time we're hearing it 7 months later. He returns to work and does it go. I mean, like, that's just weird, man. Like, it's a lot of weirdness.
So short-term disability hours, he has 2,184. But you know what I wonder too? Because if you remember, people came out and started saying things like, oh, Seth hasn't been working. He wasn't working. Things like that. And we were all kind of like, what do you mean? And then that whole question of, does Seth even work anymore for them? Like, is he still employed came about? Wow.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if he's working, to be honest with you. I think either he returned to work like a month earlier or something like that. I got my calculations wrong. Or because like it would be like a little over 3 months. It'd be like maybe like over like almost 18 weeks. So it'd be like 3.5 months or so. So he just like kind of just returned to like work or what? I mean, I don't get it. Like,
well, not only that, Beaton, but think of this. Like SF said, he kind of led people to believe that so right after his GoFundMe, this is what was also weird. Right after his GoFundMe was met, right? It was filled. It actually gained a little bit more. That's when the shoulder came about. That's when he brought mention to the shoulder. And a lot of people believe that he hurt his shoulder while searching, which is why SF says here the shoulder injury wasn't from searching as portrayed. So after he got the money, that's when he turned around and said, well, I can't search because my shoulder's so bad. So all these people that are saying that, Seth's the only one who's been searching, he himself told you he can't search because of his shoulder.
So, I mean, do you think that he just like, it's just the lies are piling up and like he's innocent, but he's been lying so much it's making him look more and more guilty, where it's like he tried, like at first he's like, I searched for my son and I hurt myself, but then because he said that, he can't tell you why he did the GoFundMe, because he burned through all his short-term disability earlier on because he injured his shoulder early on. He lied. So like the lies are kind of making him look more and more guilty when he's not guilty.
Well, that's what I think it is. And I'll be honest, is I think Seth has always been lazy. And I think he has always sought out the lazy way. I mean, we even heard, if we believe Chris, he encouraged Seth to go for it. Seth wanted to drop out of getting this job. And he kind of pushed him, like, do it for your son, blah, blah, blah. And it just, and now, and add in the fact, like Luna Girl said, they're currently investigating his timesheet. So it seems like he's trying to like cheat the system in a way. And he cheated the people out of what, 25, 24?
More than that, because that's only the GoFundMe. That's not the cash apps or all that stuff.
Or the Father's Day fundraiser.
Or the checks being sent to him by people personally every week. Some people, I was one lady that cried. Remember, she cried that she gave him like a check every week. And she was like, I had disability or something like that. She was on disability.
Right.
So it just makes me wonder, is this guy like, innocent, and then basically based upon like he's just been saying lies that just make him look more and more guilty? Like he just basically says, oh yeah, I hurt my shoulder looking for my son, but because he lied about that, he can't tell you the reason why he couldn't get the money anymore from the job because he burnt up all his disability days, and now he can't tell you the truth that he was on like out of work for almost 3 months or so, or 3.5 months. And then like on top of all that, it's just like it's weird. It just shows you like these lies are not helping.
Right. He's very shady in what he does.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very, very the more that comes out that I don't what I don't understand is why these people deny that. Yeah. Oh, thank you, No Madness. I appreciate that. If this came out, if it was Chris, and we found out that Chris was on disability up until 2 weeks before Sebastian disappeared and then stayed off of work the entire time thereafter, people would be having a fit right now. But they'll excuse this. They'll make some justification and they'll try to relate it with Sebastian. It has nothing to do with Sebastian.
Well, according to Dog, probably cause means probably guilty. So, I mean, luckily we don't follow that fucking line of logic.
They get right. Right.
We live in a system where you're innocent until proven guilty, not you're guilty until you're proven innocent. But, that's why, like, I'm just thinking, like, I think Seth has basically put himself in this bad position because he has just basically lied so much and it makes him look bad. And I don't think he has anything to do with the disappearance of his son, but I think all these lies have just made him look very suspicious, and they're piling up. And when people start seeing lies, they start looking at you sideways. They're like, what the fuck are you doing? Why didn't you not mention you were out of work for more than 3 months before?
Well, and it makes you wonder, Tim, is that why he's bringing in all these distractors?
Yeah, it's like he's trying. I think what happened is I think he's lied multiple times about, basically kind of bamboozling people for money. Mm-hmm. And I think he got all these people to come in here to protect him because he's lied about this stuff. And I think that the lies are catching up now because people are starting to look at him. And I truly, that's my opinion. I think.
Well, and you're right, because the Dog comes out and he says, oh, at first I thought the bio dad, because that was kind of the rumors on social media. But as well as I know, Tim, that for the first few months, or at the least, Seth was on a pedestal.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until he continued to run his mouth, he continued to act inappropriately, and he continued to put out inappropriate information about Sebastian, that people started to change their mind on Seth. So Dog has that completely backwards. The Proudfoots have been guilty from day one. It was Seth that got it passed and everything. And I find it interesting that Dog even admits that at first he thought it was the bio dad. What changed that? Oh, because you spoke to him. You don't know if they're telling any truth.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously, the problem with me, Seth, is he's a liar. He's lied about multiple things, and now it's like we find out 7 months later that he only recently returned to work due to, a shoulder injury, which he claimed he aggravated during the search, which means he lied to people to basically get sympathy donos. Mm-hmm. It means that he could not really be properly searching, because I doubt that he's going to be able to search, or he's perfectly fine and he's lying to his job. Either way, he's lying to someone that kind of goes against his credibility, and this guy's just lying all over the place. And to me, it's like, man, just tell the truth. Maybe if you tell the truth, maybe people will start believing you a little bit and stop.
He'd be a little more relatable. Yeah. What else I find interesting here, it says, Tim, the new probationary end date is 8/1/2024. Right? So remember on Vinnie Politan, Seth said, what would I have to gain? Which I thought was such a bizarre question to ask. What would I have to gain in my son's disappearance? Well, you've gained a lot, Seth Rogers, and it looks like you've had a lot to look at it. The new probationary date end date is 8/1. He just lost his disability at that point. Or not his time off, it would be, right, from work.
Employees has used the no, I think probationary period basically means like when you get hired for a job with a jail, you're on a probationary period for a couple of years or a couple of
okay, you're right.
So because he took the time off, they extend it they extend the probation. So let's say your probation.
You're right. Okay. And with probation, they start you at the bottom, right? The garage,
Yeah.
you earn your way up in
Yeah.
and wow.
Yeah, so basically it got extended because he did the 3 months of short-term disability. That's what my understanding of that particular document was.
Which means he was more than likely working the garage, which is why else do we keep hearing about this supposed garage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like these things don't just keep coming up for no reason.
I don't know. I mean, like the only person that mentioned the video was Seth and Tony. I have not heard the authorities mentioning the video. I see a time slip that's in this, and I'm just saying, I'm like, it just feels like the more things, instead of him being honest and saying, yeah, I hurt my shoulder previously, I went on short-term disability, but I think he's lying either to us or he's lying to his job, and basically he might not be injured and he's just milking the system, which makes him look suspicious. And either way, his lies are catching up to him, and it's kind of strange, you know. Like, I think he's innocent, but because his lies are going all over the place, it makes him look guilty. You know what I mean?
It makes him look horrible. Absolutely.
Yeah. Like,
it does. It makes him look absolutely horrible. I called it verify. Seth Rogers is in fact still employed with Davidson County, but he is out on leave.
Yeah.
Well, and then the fact that, the whole, polygraph thing. Oh, he fell asleep. And they're like, well, he was just put on new narcotics from the doctor and blah, blah, blah. Why did he wait all these years to get this surgery?
Yeah. I'm wondering what that situation is. Either he's milking the system with his job and he's lying to his job about his, just, or he's lying to us. He's lying to people. And that's the main thing. And he did it for money. Yeah. And he did it for money. This has all been a monetary thing for him.
Again, the DVRO from years back states his shoulder injury and that. So it's not a new injury. So why is it right before Sebastian disappears, he takes, his leave from work and all that. He takes short-term disability. That ends right before Sebastian disappears. Then he has a GoFundMe 3 days in. Okay. And don't forget, he told creators, a few of them came forward and said the stipulation for Seth going on their panels was that they drop his GoFundMe and his Cash Apps, both of which aren't in his name, B10. And we've been saying that's weird. And we said that's likely because of, disability. And boom, we were right. You're fraud in this system at the least.
Yeah. I mean, at the very least, I think what happened is that I think his lies, he did not want to tell the truth about why he took off, either because of his job, or he's lying to his job, or he wanted to get sympathy donors from people. And this is why people are looking at him weird, because he's not honest. He's not an honest man.
Yeah.
And it's it's so strange, because if he would have just said, the reason why I'm doing the GoFundMe 3 days afterwards is because I was out on disability for 3 months and I just returned and I can't take any more days. I think if he just said that, people would have been like, oh, okay, that makes perfect sense. Right. That would have explained away the whole GoFundMe. But yet why hasn't he mentioned that? Because that would have been a very logical thing to say to a bunch of people.
Well, because he's defrauding the system by putting in other people's name. All of his income he's hiding from disability.
Yeah.
And look at this. So they're right. It assesses new employees for qualities like work ethic, adaptability, cultural fit, all those things. You know what else? Seth is out here flashing around his jailer badge and telling everybody he's law enforcement. And he's like flopping it on a table when he was out to eat with barbecue and them, allegedly, if you believe them. But apparently he shows his badge a lot, and he's not even officially hired. He's on probationary. I mean,
I think he's hired, but it's like for any jail person that's like a jailer, share what he does. I think when you're on a probationary period until a certain amount of years, and then you get off probationary period. And I think he hasn't just jumped off, but he shouldn't be flashing his badge around. That's definitely not a proper thing to do.
And it always drove me nuts because people say, oh, I think Chris Proudfoot has, a sister that's law enforcement. What is a closer connection than the father himself telling you that he is law enforcement?
Yeah.
And people neglect that. People look over it. It just blows my mind.
Well, people are stating that he has a private jet, like Chris has parents have a private jet and all that stuff. And it's just ridiculous. At this point, it's like, this just, to me, like people say, why did SF post this? To me, it posts because it shows that at the very least, Seth has been lying to the public to garner super chats and to trick people. and he also tricked his job. It looks like he might have also lied to his job. And to me, those are two things that go to your character and goes to, why is he lying about these things? And to me, I think it's because he does a lot of lies. And I don't think he has any, I'm putting this very clearly, just in case I have someone come up on the thing and state this. I do not believe Mr. Seth Rogers has anything to do with the disappearance of his son based upon the evidence so far. But when you lie all this stuff and you make these little lies and all these lies pile up, people will look at you and not trust what you say. And now people are going to be like, okay, I want to see the video now. I want to see you on the video. I want to see, because your timestamp card is easily manipulated. It could be like someone else could have fucking logged in or something like that. And people,
which is why they're investigating it. And if you look over it, this is a great question. So was he even working in February of 2024, or was he still on disability leave?
I think he was working, but I just don't know. Like, I'm so confused about the situation. I think he came back to work probably like a month earlier or something like that.
Yeah, because it says the next evaluation date would be the 2nd of February.
I think Chasing says something. She says probationary means he isn't a FT perm employee.
Right. Yeah. That means they're waiting to see if he really, fits in as an employee there, if he's good enough to be an employee there.
Yeah, that's what I figured. That's what I said. And because he took the short-term disability, it extended it basically. They don't just give you like off, they extend it for a longer period of time. Basically.
Look, a lot of people are questioning. So how was Sean at work on 2/25 through to 26 if he's still out on disability? Well, all right. So he wasn't still out on disability. So it says right here that the new probationary end date is 8/1. So he just ended his probationary period. That would end on that date. So he would have been at work.
Yeah. I just think it's most likely, I think he just lied about his, he's either lying to his job to milk the system, or he's lying to the public, or he's lying to both to get money, and it makes him look really fucking bad. And when you lie like that, it's not something you should be doing, to be honest with you. Because now people are looking at this document and they're like, oh wait, okay, so he jumped off, he went off on short-term disability. Why hasn't he said this? I don't know.
And it is weird that he just ended short-term disability and then was working 12 hours. But again, it would have been light work.
Yeah.
It doesn't make much sense.
It doesn't make that much sense. It's something that would have been helpful. It would have been something people would have been sympathetic to. They'd be like, well, man, this guy hurt himself on from his job. He took off, he comes back. And then like this other bad thing happened where his son goes missing. So I think it would have been a very sympathetic thing to do, but I don't know why he lied, to be honest.
But here's the thing, though, Tim, he didn't hurt his shoulder at work because, again, it's referenced in the domestic violence restraining order from years back. It's referenced in that. Yeah. So he just every so often, when convenient, he uses this shoulder injury as an excuse for what he's doing, it seems to me.
Yeah, it seems like I think honestly he's lying I think he's sad fishing or lying to the audience for donos. And I think he's taking advantage of it with his job. I think this is just kind of a recurring thing with him, where he pretends he has an injury, or he's like, he's hurt or something to get sympathy from people. And he does that with a lot of his interviews as well. And yes. I think, it shows, and it's really sucks that he's doing this, because now what's going to happen is people are going to look at him sideways and be like, were you actually at work at the time? Because we're a little confused now, sir. We're not sure what's going on here.
And then to top it off, we know the jail themselves are doing an investigation into his time cards.
Yeah. And that's the thing. That's a sad thing. Like, if the man was only honest and was actually, honest and didn't do this slanderish behavior to his ex-wife, I think people would never fucking go at him like this. I think people would have been sympathetic, and I think he would have had a good team of people that would work with him, and he would have a good reputation here, and he would be okay. But because he's been so sketchy and lying about almost everything and kind of sad fishing for donos, it's gotten to the point where people are just, what the fuck?
Right. That's exactly right. And it's also because they're pointing so many fingers over at the Proudfoots, but nobody will acknowledge the red flags with Seth. And I think if they weren't doing that, people wouldn't, like SF even says here, the reason he's doing this is because Seth and his team are attacking Chris and Katie. It's not helping. And he even says down here, they're not punching bags. You know, so that's why SF is posting these things, because this is what they're doing. So let's answer for your own red flags, Seth Rogers.
Yeah.
Wow.
I wish Seth would just stop this stuff and just basically just be honest with people and stop with the sad fishing. And I think people would start being more sympathetic to him. But it's a little too late now. Because I truly do believe he's innocent. He's an innocent. He has nothing to do with the disappearance of his kid. I just think he's an asshole.
Yeah, exactly.
Just simple as that. The two things can be right. You could be an asshole and you can be innocent of a crime. You know what I mean? I think he's, I don't like the man based upon what happened to Katie. I felt like a lot of this stuff is re-victimizing Katie, who is a victim a lot through a lot of abuse, it seems like, in her life. And all these people are attacking her.
It's unbelievable. It's actually really, this whole thing's just mind-boggling, to be honest. It's really sad.
Yeah.
Also, I believe he was involved in special disappearance. Yeah, I mean, that we've all been saying that for a very long time, that we don't believe he's involved. But unfortunately, I don't like him as a person from what he has displayed on here.
Yeah. It's sad. It's really sad. And now it's only going to get worse now because this document came out. People are going to be questioning his employee. Was he working? Was he actually at his job? We don't know. It's like a little bit confusing, the documentation. I was confused. I'm still a little confused, by the way. And I just don't know. And if he was just honest with people and told them straight up instead of sad fishing, I think this wouldn't have happened. So it is what it is.
And look, effective date of May of 2024.
Yeah.
So wait, employee. All right. So effective date of May, February, March, April, May. So 3 months after Sebastian disappeared. Data correction. Employee has used. Is that this year? That he used hours of leave during the probationary period. The new probationary period ends 8/1/24.
I think that's where it's been extended. So effective date. So it's been extended. I mean, that's why I'm like a little bit unsure. And I think I misread the document earlier on when I said it's 2/24.
Yeah.
Obviously I misread that, and that's my bad. But I just think it just shows you he's been lying, basically. And I just don't know. It's a confusing document. And with these type of documents, usually you want an expert of the facility that can actually read them and give you an idea.
Right.
So that's why people we're just laymen. We're just looking at this document. We have no freaking clue. But it just looks like he took off for 3 months and never told anyone.
And it was right after he got a raise, because it says here on 8/2/2023, that was his last raise, date of last raise. And then 2 days later, he went out on short-term disability.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is weird, which is very weird.
So many red flags. Did you listen to Dog over on Jennifer's?
Well, I'm glad he came about for Nicholas. I mean, I'm so glad for Nicholas,
Hopefully Nicholas and his father, Sean, get answers.
Yeah. I mean, and the whole dress thing, apparently I heard from the chat.
Yeah. What is that?
That was Taco's kid or something, or some kid with Taco. It wasn't even like Sebastian. That's what I heard from the chat. I don't know.
Oh yeah, they were saying that Taco did that over on that woman's channel. Yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't even Sebastian. So you have like all these lies being stated by this man, who honestly I feel bad for this kid, because Sebastian, it's because you're spreading all this stuff about this kid. I mean, like, come on, guys, can you be a little bit like, this is a child? Like, right. I call him a child. He's a 15-year-old teenager. Should be changing that. But you know what I mean? Like, where's the protection for this kid?
Well, here's my thing, Beats him. The way Dog threw it out there, it was thrown out with no purpose whatsoever, right? He just, oh, and by the way, he was dressed as a girl. Well, here's a few things. We know by Dog's past behaviors that some people believe him to be racist and homophobic, and transphobic and all those things. Why mention that Sebastian was dressed as a girl? Why? Yeah. What would it even matter?
I mean, and then he mentions misinformation about surveillance being in Sebastian's room, filming him. And I'm like, no, that never happened. If that actually happened, I would be looking at Chris like he was a weirdo, to be completely honest with you. Like, why are you surveilling your own child's bedroom?
Right.
And the cell phone. The cell phone was never in his bedroom. It was downstairs. We all know that. It was never with him because it's just ridiculous. It's a lot of lies that he's been stating, a lot of misinformation. And honestly, and then the weakest thing is like, if I'm wrong, I'll just say sorry. Well, sir, I'm sorry. That does not work. You're a 71-year-old man. You should know by now. Sorries don't mean shit. That doesn't help.
Right. No, you can't. You can't put the paste back in the tube. And Sarah, that doesn't make sense though. That's why Mr. Chris didn't want his daughter around Sebastian then. Why? Because he dressed as a girl? That wouldn't even make sense. Yeah, nothing Dog says he even has correct. It's all based on rumors. You heard the man say he thought the bio dad was guilty because that's what social media said. That's how far Dog's investigative mind goes.
Yeah, and I don't even believe the whole dress comment. I think that's
yeah, it's stupid.
And I honestly think it's just more fucking terrible things said about this kid, who can't even defend himself, can't even say anything, being completely dragged by these full-grown adults, old people, Dog's 71 years old. And it's disgusting. It's really disgusting. And it's like, it's the sad thing is I have to repeat it to basically say how much of bullshit. But it's sad that I have to basically tell people, like, why are you listening to this man? Because he had a TV show 20 years ago? I mean, really?
Right. He didn't even get the names correct.
He doesn't even know the names of the father of the missing child, the one he talks to hours and hours and hours, or the missing child.
And he also said he's been on this case for 3 weeks, or been, studying this case for 3 weeks. What? You mean holding a phone call here and there? You know what I mean? Like, because you don't even have the name. He also doesn't have the age correct. They didn't have the date correct. The name's correct. I mean, come on.
Yeah, he said 16. He was 16.
It's infuriating.
Okay, so Kelly says this. It says, Seymour, ignorance. It was a pic from Taco's actual granddaughter. Beatum is right. Yeah, that's what I heard. And now I never seen it. But I'm just saying, like, that's what I heard. And that makes a lot of sense to me. And now you have Dog the Bounty Hunter saying that Sebastian was in a dress. You know what he's insinuating, by the way, when he says that type of stuff. He's, you know what I mean? And it's like, I'm sitting here, I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you, sir? Like, do your research. Have some, you're not like some random YouTuber online. It's just got a YouTube channel and it's just, whatever. Why are you not doing research? You're supposed to be a bounty hunter, a professional. You work with, the FBI and the CIA and all these people, and you don't have any clue what you're talking about. I mean,
none, no clue. Yeah. And then he brings up Brian Laundrie. Remember that? He was nowhere near him. He was way off on his speculation there too.
Yeah, and he's doing did you hear about his new Dogcast? He's going to make
he made sure to throw that out twice.
A Dogcast, and he plans on inviting, and they've been working together for a while, Coffee Dog and Nick.
Yep. Lulu, I will not retract that statement when it was Seth's team members who put that information out, okay? Bullhorn Betty put out an alleged email between Seth Rogers' work and his attorneys. And in that, you can see they say they're looking into the time cards. There's an investigation into it. So,
yeah, I mean, I don't know.
have to say allegedly with that. I seen it myself.
Yeah, I just think it's just a lot of BS. I think Dog is just basically, I honestly wonder if he's all there mentally.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. And I'm wondering if he's trying to pursue past glory and he's just not into it. I mean, he's a 71-year-old man, nothing against the 70-year-olds, but sometimes, I mean, I hope I'm in good shape and sound mind when I'm 70. Let's just hope that. But like, I think his memory's a little bit off. I'm not saying he's got dementia, but I'm saying, like, you're 71 years old, you're not going to have the same memory as you are when you're like in your 30s or something. And he's always been bad with names. And I think that's not a good thing to do when you're doing an investigation of a missing person. You need to know the person's name, the family members, and
the minimum, know the kid's name, know the father's name. You know, like you don't even know that much and we're supposed to believe you?
So Chasing says, so he had shoulder injury from years back, aggravated at work, went back, aggravated searching, and no more as short-term disability. So PTO and GoFundMe.
By the sounds of it, yes.
Yeah, and it sounds like he didn't want to tell people that he was actually he had a shoulder injury earlier. He lied about it, and then he basically sadfished for super chats and not super chats, GoFund, cash apps and all that stuff.
And then, you know, even this, Daisy's right. When Dog says Katie hid important details about her son, like his favorite color, loving animals, like they're the important details. I think the important details was that Sebastian was beginning to grow a mustache, that his hair color was starting to change. I think those were more important details than his favorite color. And we all knew his favorite color because of his mother. We all knew he loved cats because of his parents being on the interviews.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone knew what his favorite color was, and he liked animals. I don't think it was all revealed by Nick the Hat.
Right. It just blows my mind that he can say things like that when it's not even important.
Yeah, Remy says he said he re-injured an injury due to searching. I don't exactly where, but one of his many panels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think he's lying with that. I think he probably didn't want to mention that he already took off his shoulder. I think he wanted to sound heroic. Oh, I injured my shoulder searching for my child. Oh, guys. And he did. That's why he hid the fact about his short-term disability on his job.
I agree. That's exactly why. And he also said he had to get surgery now. And people question why now. Because he milked it for all he could. That's probably why now.
Yeah. And that's why he's like made these lies like, oh, I spent $25,000 on gas.
Gas,
I'm like,
yeah.
Bro, you could have drove around the planet.
Right.
If you spent $25,000 in gas. I mean, you could have drove to the moon.
Most importantly, it validates what we've all been saying. I know I have. I've been saying the only reason he would hide all this income in other people's names is if he was trying to hide something from disability. He was hiding the income. And now we know without a doubt that's exactly what he was doing.
Yeah. And I'm going to give this advice to Mr. Seth Rogers' sister. You better put some money aside for taxes because you're liable for that 25 G's in taxes, by the way.
And he might be liable for much more too if they catch wind of all of this.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm going to probably say to her. You better be careful with that. I think like there's a certain amount of gift, like I think what is it? Anything under $10,000, you don't have to pay taxes on if it's a gift. But if it's over $10,000, then Mr. Seth Rogers is going to have to pay taxes if he just got a lump sum over $10,000. So
yeah, but they're not in his name.
Yeah, well, no, I'm saying the money has to be transferred.
That's true. Well, that's the other thing. Very recently, TikTok Tony was on a panel, and he said that that the money is still in Seth's sister's hands and that Seth has to ask the sister for the money. So do you think that he would be able to give $12K away when the money's in his sister's hands? So
it makes sense that he's doing that because then you don't have to pay taxes on gifts. So she's giving him money like small, like here's 2,000 here, here's 2,000 here, you know what I mean? Or whatever. Right. And it's not that lump sum money, and he's getting the cash app and stuff, and those are gifts too. It sounds like a lot of shenanigans are going on with.
Yeah, because you can't explain transferring $20K over. Nobody wants $20K handed over to them because you have to pay the taxes on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. It's kind of unbelievable, to be honest. That I wonder how Seth even. Oh, it's public record. Never mind, because he works. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, he might not be liable for the GoFundMe because it's in his sister's name, but it is his sister's is liable for the GoFundMe taxes because it's in her name. You know, if you get a certain amount. But yeah, it sounds like he lied. He lied about his shoulder injury. He lied about the money, disability. Just sounds like he lied. And now it's catching up and it's making him look fucking worse and worse and worse. And people are like, oh my God, why are you guys bringing this up? Well, it goes to his character. If he lies about this, what else can he lie about?
Yeah, and you know what? It actually, so I'm reading the comments over here and it drives me nuts because anytime anything is negatively said about Seth, they always turn around and they say, well, what about Katie? What about Chris? Right? But if you go over to them as they're talking about Katie and Chris and you say, what about Seth? They're like, oh, why does that matter? But that's always their go-to. But over here, SF has a great point. The FBI, Chris and Katie are not attacking Seth. It's Seth and his team attacking Chris and Katie daily. So they better be prepared to answer for their lies. And because I have way more receipts than this. Wow.
Yeah. And by the way, I would suggest, Dog, you talk to your lawyer, and maybe even Coppendorf talk to your lawyer, because the defamation you stated about Chris is a lot. And you have money, and you've actually said some very defamatory things, like Chris beating his half-breed wife, as Dog said.
Half-breed.
I couldn't believe it. I missed that part. I was like, wait, half-breed? Why is he calling this lady Nina a half-breed? Like,
that's so horrible to say. And then that other channel was out there saying that Chris is racist towards that woman's. And I'm like, why? Why would he not only date her, impregnate her, and marry her if he was racist?
Yeah.
Doesn't even make sense.
I mean, he said that he beat his child, Chris, and he beat his 3 wives, and there's a police report, and he went to jail. Well, sir, you better produce those motherfucking receipts. Right. You just said something that is defamatory. You have just basically defamed Chris.
Extremely.
And you have money, apparently. And also, did you miss the part where Dog says the volunteers are going to get the $50,000? When Nick the Hat's volunteers are going to get the $50,000, and it's almost 1/10 of $1 million. Did you hear that? Hello? Suddenly got really quiet. I'm not sure if that's me. So they're going to get. I heard that too. Yeah, I heard that, and I could not believe that was said. So I'm saying to myself, wait a minute, it doesn't sound like he had $150,000, like he's getting another $50,000 for volunteers. It sounds like, yeah, I am alone. It sounds like he basically,
I was muted, I'm sorry, yeah.
No problem. I thought for a moment. But did you hear that part? Where he basically stated that Dog was like, oh, Nick the Hat's volunteers are going to get the $50,000.
No, did he really?
Yeah.
So there's the other motives. Not only does he, yeah, thank you so much, B-Tim. I had to run for a second. Not only does he mention that he's starting a new, podcast, which I don't even want to bring mention to, but then to turn around and say that they're going to get the reward, that right there's their motives. Why don't people listen to this?
Yeah, like he said, I'm trying to quote the exact, and you can listen to it. He slips up a little bit. He kind of whispers it. He says the volunteers are going to get the $50,000, and that's almost 1/10 of $1 million. And I'm like, wait a minute, if he got another $50,000, that would be $150,000, not $100,000.
Right, where's that other 50?
Yeah. So do they have the $50,000? Do they actually have the $50,000 secured yet? Or is this just to have him secured? And Dog didn't say I took out $25,000. He didn't say, well, I took out $25,000. It's Nick's volunteers or people volunteers who take out the $50,000. So is this a lie? Did Dog just lie and Nick just lie on national TV and multiple places that he actually has this money? Because the man is in debt, by the way. The man owes over $1 million to the feds.
Yeah.
So, and
not only that, but they did the same thing in that escaped convict. They offered a reward in that as well. And I believe they do that just for this reason, for this fake praise, knowing they likely will never pay it out.
Yeah. And I'm wondering, what is going on here? And also you look at the lawyer speak. The lawyer says, I've heard, remember he says, I heard there was a $50,000 or something like that. I was told or something like that. It's never. Let me see. No, he said his volunteers were offering another $50,000. Well, either he said that or he's fucked up what he's saying, because if he offered another $50,000, that would be $150,000, not $1/10
Right, because it was 25 and 25.
Yeah, it would be $150,000. So either his brain is not working properly with the math, and he's not counting in the FBI money, or he is lying about the money.
I'm leaning towards lying.
That's just my opinion. I feel like I want to see if I truly, and I give him all the praise in the world. If he goes, puts his money in a trust, gives it to his attorney, and has his attorney go on YouTube or national TV like they have, and said, as an officer of the court, I can put out that my client has put the $50,000 or whatever amount of money in a trust that I am in possession of. And whoever fulfills the terms and conditions of the award, we will reward it. Why is that so hard? You have a team of lawyers and not one of them can put the money in a trust and have one of them go on TV or YouTube and say, yes, I'm as an officer of the court, I can present that as I have the money. Come on.
Well, right, because they know the odds of them having to pay that out are slim to none, but it's the perfect way to come out and look like intense or genuine, right? Like, oh, I'm coming out, and that was their first entrance into this, was Nick saying he's offering 25, Dog resharing it. They knew what they were doing. I don't know why people don't understand that this is what these guys do. They're very good at what they do. They came out and sold everybody a pipe dream, and they look like heroes. They're up in the reward, and they're going to find Sebastian, and yet they haven't even stepped foot in Tennessee yet. And instead, they did exactly what he spent the first 3 videos saying he wasn't going to do, which is paying attention to the trolls and the drama. And guess what? That is all they have to offer now, because they know it sells.
Yeah.
They know it sells.
So it is horrible. And I truly think he spread a bunch of misinformation. I kind of feel bad when you have to review this guy, because you're saying, Jesus Christ, man, like this guy got everything wrong. And I got to review this shit. Like we got to review this shit to correct it because it's so much. And Kopfendorfer looks like a fucking deer in headlights. She just doesn't correct anything. She doesn't tell him that that's illegal. Like, going and asking for records, like secretly from people without warrants or subpoenas. I'm like, ma'am, there's a certain turtle boy that's facing jail time because of that, by the way. And there's another lady that's facing charges because of that, because Mr. Turtle Boy went to a person working at the police and asked them to look up a license plate on the side off the record. And that was one of the charges. And now while you were talking about that case, Kopfendorfer, now you have Dog the Bounty Hunter saying that he's doing the exact same thing. First off, that's not going to be admissible in court. That's going to be immediately thrown out. Anything that comes from that will be fruit from the poisonous tree. And you just basically admitted to a possible crime.
Well, not only that, but they just had their one lawyer come out and say how ridiculous it is. And that's part of his cease and desist, is that people are claiming that they were going to, use truth serum. And yet here comes Dog saying it once again, that they would use truth serum. So take that out of your cease and desist.
Well, the reason why I use a turtle, people don't even know who that is because he basically did a lot of the same things that Dog is doing, going after people that have just speculation and just harassing people and harassing them without evidence or stuff like that, and who haven't been arrested. And Kopfendorfer was against that. She made multiple videos against Turtle Boy and those actions, and now she's all for it when Dog the Bounty Hunter's on her show. And I'm wondering, like, ma'am, are you a hypocrite? Like, yeah, because you were against that shit, and now you're for it. Right? Okay, ma'am, you might as well just stop pretending that you give a fuck and sell out completely, because it did pretty well for your channel. You got 3,400 people watching your live. It was actually pretty good. You got good numbers.
Yeah, and if you looked at that, her Sebastian streams do better than any other. So why is it that she'll, like, if she's saying Sebastian's face was no longer in the news and blah, 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 why didn't she keep it going? As a friend of Tony's and working with Seth Rogers, why didn't she make sure that his face stayed out there?
Because they're lying. I mean, it was all about basically the numbers, and they knew the story was going to get big views, especially if they brought Dog. Remember the first thing Dog said that Nick said to him, oh, you'll get big. I want you to bring, when you come over, like all the people that watch you, or like the media attention will come when you come in there. He didn't invite Dog because of his investigatory skills. He invited him for his fame power.
For his attention.
Yeah. That's the truth. Let's be real. And that, you know what I mean? Like, and let's be real. I think Sebastian has gotten a lot of attention for months on end. More attention than I think most kids could ever, most families in these cases can ever dream of getting. You got billboards all over the place. You got multiple times on Court TV, News Nation. You got probably, if we counted every single damn video with Sebastian Rogers' name on it, it'd be probably like in the hundredth, probably like 100,000 or like 50,000 videos at least. You know, like we're talking about this kid's got major exposure. I think a lot of people know what this kid looks like, knows his baby went missing, knows his favorite color, knows a lot about him. And they're acting like this kid's story was never spreading attention.
Nobody knew. Nobody knew his favorite color. Nobody knew he loved animals. He loved cats and snakes. Nobody knew anything. And his exact words from Nick were, if you get in on this, that's their intent, to get in on this.
Yeah, it's a marketing situation to make money. It's a money-making opportunity for these guys.
I love him, Violet Days. Yeah, the Stop Snitching lawyer. And listen, Dog the Bounty Hunter's claiming in his 44 years, he's caught 10,000 people. That would be like 2 people a day.
Yeah.
For that to be possible.
I think he's full of shit, to be honest with you.
It'd be 1.6, but, you know, we'll round it up to 2 because he's not finding half people. But that's the only way that would be possible, B-Tim, to get 10,000 people in 44 years.
Yeah, I think he's full of shit. Let's just be
absolutely
real. Like, let's call a spade a spade. The guy's full of shit, and I think he's a showman, and I think it shows you. And I think it's weird. I mean, especially when he talked about discernment, that he's going to use his Christian magical powers to tell who's guilty or not.
Wasn't that great?
And I sat there, I was like, sir, so either you're a blasphemous individual that actually got Christian magical powers and used it to get an A&E special. I'm sure God's going to love that. You know, you used your God-given powers to make a bunch of money.
Well, didn't he say he's like, he believes he is God? Like he relates himself to God?
Yeah, like one story in the book was that he was found out when he got out of jail, he found out his current wife at that time was cheating with him with a friend. He got a gun. He jumped on a plane. He was planning on killing that man.
Oh, yeah, because that's not psychotic.
Yeah, and then he started drinking. And then a guy with red hair, I guess, started talking to him or whatever. And he knew it, like, tried to talk him down. And then when he got off the plane, the man was never on the plane. There was no man with that.
Oh.
And it was an angel in his mind. It was the angel coming down to talk to him about not murdering, his ex-wife, new partner.
Wow.
You know, and he says he believes that he was a preacher. He's going to be a preacher, and he's like, he's kind of chosen by God, and his prayers are answered all the time by God. And I'm like, okay, sir. I mean, I get it, but you know, I mean, kind of narcissistic, honestly, to think God only cares about you, sir. It's very weird.
Well, how many people are going to continue to use Sebastian's case and religion to hide behind?
Yeah,
because that seems to be what's been happening a lot lately.
Yeah, I mean, and he's got a new dog cast. He's going to invite Coffindoffer on his show. I mean, I was joking. Remember, I joked about how they're going to play, like Seth is going to put himself with truth serum, and he's going to be on a live stream. And I'm like, oh my God, that's going to actually happen.
Well, now they're back to wanting to use it on Chris and Chris only. And you know what? Part of me gets a little bit angry. So I'm like, well, why aren't the Proudfoots doing something at this point? You know, like it is a little infuriating, but at the same time, it's like, well, because they have bigger things to worry about. You know, it seems big to us, but it's not. Did you see this over here where Nick literally wrote the pursuit of the next big story? Like the Cavalcante case is already underway. They were pursuing a big story and they got it.
Yeah, I think
what they're here for.
And none of them have actually done any searching. I mean,
Nothing.
I would say, they haven't really done anything. And it's so simple. Like, just get on your plane. If you have this team of people, get one or two of you guys to organize an event. But until I see it, I don't believe it. I think it's a marketing play. I think it's a way to make money and to get attention. And that's pretty much it. And I don't think anything.
So not only does he have a new book, but he's also talking about a new dog cast, right? So we have that. That's his intent right there. Then we have the fact that he said Nick told him, jump in on this, basically jump in on it, get in on it. This is a big thing because it's the next big case underway right now. That's his third. And then to add all these different attorneys and stuff, it's political season.
Yeah. And I just think, what's really weird is all these connections. It's very weird. And I think in the center of it all, the person that stirred all this up is Seth. And
yeah,
I think,
absolutely. B-Tim, my car's blocking my neighbor. Do you have a second so I can pull it out real
sure,
quick? Thank
sure.
you. I'm so sorry.
No problem. They sold their Chris Watts content to Reels. Did not know that. Yes, I agree. I could care less about the book. Tell me what he's going to do to find Sebastian. So far, what he's going to do is basically already think that Chris and Katie are guilty, and he's going to focus his attention on them. And he's probably not going to be searching those woods. I think he's probably just going to look up background information on Chris and Katie, kind of make them look really guilty. And he's already thinks they're guilty. So, and that's what he's doing. He's at that point. So that's what he's planning on doing. He's not going to look for that kid, in my opinion. I think he's just going to focus on Chris and Katie. He's going to do the same tactics as BHB. Pressure breaks pipes. And I think that's what's going to happen. And I think that's pretty an outrageous situation, actually. Looks that way here, too. Yeah, it looks like that. Bottom line, BHP is 100% in violation again. Absolutely. That lady is nuts. I wouldn't even if I was facing possible jail time, I would have kept my mouth quiet until the end of the hearing. You know what I mean? Just to be safe, on the safe side. Because my freedom is worth more than, any amount of money, to be honest with you. If you offered me $1 million to go to jail for a year, I would not do it, to be completely honest with you. I want my freedom. My freedom is worth unlimited amount of money. I'm just telling you that now. I would not risk my freedom for nothing. Because I think that's something that you're never going to get back. But she seems to be risking her freedom for her pride and super chats. So, I mean, see how that works out, ma'am. Personally, I think it's not going to work out too well for that woman. But, I would 365 days. I wouldn't, to be honest with you, because you don't know if you're going to get out of the jail. You go in, you don't know if you're going to come out. You know what I mean? Especially if you're going in general population, you hear the horror stories like hell to the no. Hell to the no. He doesn't even know his child's name or any one of the family members he's spewing. Yeah, he doesn't know the name of the, prophets. He doesn't know the name of the Bowersox. He doesn't know the name of, Seth. He doesn't know the name of the missing child. He doesn't know what's going on. He thinks that, the Bowersox has private jets, plural. They think that there's this millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars that they have. It's just ridiculous. And I think he just shows his ignorance and stupidity.
Thank you so much. I'm so sorry.
No problem.
Do you think anything Dog has come from the police? And do you think it's time that they come out and make a statement?
You know what? The police don't work for us. When it comes to public relations, they're trying to find a missing kid. Their main goal is to, find this kid or find whatever happened to this kid. It's not to basically do a publicity stunt. Unlike Dog, you know what I mean? Dog, and everyone wants them to go out and say things, but what are they going to say? Well, we don't have anything new, and we're just going to basically just sit out here and just waste our time doing this. Because think about it this way. If you don't have anything new and you're still searching, why would you waste your time on publicity?
That's very true.
I mean,
you're right. And think about it. Like I said, the Dog has made appearances, that they have made their appearances, but it's the same places, right? As Jennifer Coffinduffer. They're not going anywhere that's new, that's big or anything like that. And most certainly they're not in Tennessee. Yeah.
It's outrageous. It's really, really outrageous. And it's kind of sad.
Insult to everything is what I feel like it is. I feel like it's made a bigger mockery. If they would have came out and been a little unbiased and looked at everything with an unbiased point of view and kind of looked at the case for what it is, that'd be differently. But, they're coming out here and they're basically just spewing what's that. They can't even get the basics correct. The child's name, Seth's name. It's what are you doing?
I don't know what they're doing. I think what they're doing is basically Nick's telling Dog what to say. Mm-hmm. Dog is too lazy to actually read anything. And he's going with rumors and speculation. and he's basically that's it. That's all he's doing. And I think he's just going through the motions in life, and that's it. And I think, I mean, and he's worried about a legacy. And at the end of the day, sir, it's like, you shouldn't be building your legacy on the backs of missing children. That's not appropriate.
Especially children whose names you can't remember.
Yeah. I mean, and then you go after SF, who, by the way, you might like him or dislike him, but the man puts his money where his mouth is. He buys the plane tickets. He goes searching. Yep. He does the work. And you guys are trying to attack him. You're trying to manipulate. You're trying to fucking attack that man.
And intimidate him. Like, oh, we'll see you there type of things. Like, why? That's what I hate. Nick, BHB, and Dog, and others admit that I've been in Tennessee searching while they haven't. At least they are honest about the fact I'm trying, they are not. Like, it's just so aggravating because it's like, again, it'd be so much better for Sebastian if they all put resources together and there wasn't this divide based on the parents that none of us know.
Yeah, I mean, like, at the end of the day, I mean, like, if Sebastian did not run out into the woods, that means he's been lured out and he's not in the area anymore. That's basically it. And what you're doing is you're actually directing the attention that could be focused on possibly looking for this kid if he's in another state to basically parents who were victims. And honestly, like, what's disgusting is if there was more evidence pointing to Katie's guilt, I would be like, okay, that makes sense. But so far, the only thing they state was Sebastian got out of the house and Katie didn't notice it. That's their evidence. That's the evidence that this woman is guilty.
Right.
Nothing else. And that to me is crazy because anyone could be. I mean, it happens in so many cases where a kid walks out of the house and the parents don't know. And what are they, just naturally guilty?
They're all guilty. I mean, the perfect sample is Michael Monkey Vaughn.
Yeah. His mother was harassed by multiple YouTubers for months. You know, you had harsh reality fucking going at the mother constantly. You know, you had
they were innocent.
You had a bunch of channels going at that woman. And
so I didn't even get to this part of the interview, but she and Dog actually confirmed they want to use truth serum to drug people, with Dog openly wishing it were legal to kidnap Chris Proudfoot.
Yeah. The problem with truth serum is that, because I was reading about it, is that you can easily get a false confession from people, especially if they're under hypnosis and drugs, to basically make them say whatever you want. And that's the main reason why it's not used. It's not a very good tool.
Whoa, do you see this part of this? So these two clowns go on to suggest that Chris and Katie never took a polygraph, but here's the truth. Seth is the only one who hasn't taken a TBI polygraph. Chris has taken one. Katie's taken multiple TBI polygraphs, but Seth, he took one with Nancy Grace, and according to him and his mom, failed the first test. But facts don't seem to matter to these two. That's big. If that's true, that's big.
Well, it became inconclusive because Seth fell asleep.
Right, and they're claiming he was put on new narcotics because of his, new shoulder injury.
And you know what the sad thing is? Chris actually defended him. He
did.
He defended him. He explained how long it takes, the process, and you have nothing to do, and you could eat. And if you're just like, you're on new pills or something like that, or you're kind of like sleepy, you go to sleep. And I thought
that they don't get, if you're under any type of substance, they don't go through with the polygraph.
Well, you're talking about TV.
Right, polygraph. You're right. It's not a TBI polygraph.
Yeah.
You're right.
And both, like, people don't realize that one of the reasons why polygraphs are not that great is because there's a human element to it. One person can read something that's false while another one can read inconclusive or, true. You know what I mean? Right. It depends on what that person who's reading it interprets that as. So you have that human element, and also you have things like you're basically measuring not lies, but I think stress or something like that. I'm trying to remember exactly, but there's no machine that tells if someone's telling the truth or not. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. So it's not like a lie detector test. It doesn't detect lies.
Right.
That's why certain serial killers and certain spies have gotten away with beating polygraphs, because they've learned to train to beat it.
Right, to be pathological liars.
Yeah.
To believe their own lies. When they give him a new test, so they did give him a new test, is my understanding.
Yeah, they did, and he passed it. The Nancy Grace, and because they had to, because they looked embarrassing. Nancy Grace did the test. He falls asleep. It's inconclusive. They had to do it again.
Right, and don't forget, Nancy Grace actually lied at first, but Seth had already told the truth.
Yeah.
Like Nancy Grace tried dismissing the first polygraph and not ever admitting that he fell asleep, not knowing that Seth already came out and told people that he failed the first one.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's the problem. It's like people don't quite understand that for polys to work, one needs to determine the baseline of that person. That is correct. I did look, I read up about polygraphs, so I got to reread it just to make sure. But that's why like people don't use polygraphs, because it's being misused a lot of times. It's not a great way to do as like truth or stuff like that.
SF says, I will post another screenshot in the comments to that post that shows he went back on disability on 4/5/2024. Do you have a minute, SF, to come up and perhaps explain some of the things that we're not quite understanding about it? He went back on disability on 4/5/2024.
Oh
That's 2 months after Sebastian disappeared. That's about after his GoFundMe was met.
Oh my God.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I think this guy just lies so much, man. That guy lies.
I mean, if he would have came out and he would have said, like you said, you know, I took up all, you know, my shoulder injury was long lasting. And, you know, so I took my disability. Now with my son gone, I don't have any time off from work. You know, I need help to stay home from work.
Yeah,
People would have been more understanding.
People would have been like, man, this guy's going through the ringer. And they would have gave him probably more money.
Like this poor father, you know, this poor guy. And instead, and then don't forget when it came out that Chloe was trying to get them to all work together, Seth came out and basically said, if you don't like it, fuck you. And a lot of the bigger creators, JLR, Pascal, they all took an attitude like people are going to want their money back for that, you know. And then Seth came out that night and went right back to bashing them because he was going to lose the public who was supporting him. So when Dog says that Seth was immediately attacked, that is a lie. I was one of the very few over here calling out Seth at that time, and I was attacked for it.
Everyone was. You mentioned one thing negative about Seth at that particular point, you would have thousands and thousands of people going at you.
Absolutely. It was bad. It was really bad.
He was a saint. He was considered Saint Seth.
Everybody loved him. He was the greatest father. You know, how can you not understand this? Poor father's the only one who cares. But don't forget, Seth nor Katie or Chris came out and spoke to the public until a week after Sebastian disappeared. So it's not like Seth was out here talking.
Yeah.
You know.
Crazy. And I can't believe that Dog the Bounty Hunter admitted to possibly multiple crimes on a live stream with an FBI agent. To me, that's just crazy to me.
Absolutely agree.
Like, I'm going to get this illegal substance and I'm going to inject it into, I would do it if it wasn't against the law, inject it to him.
But then the best part is his attorney comes out and says, I'm cease and desist because you people are claiming, you know, that my clients are using truth serums. And it's like, well, wait, your client said it, then double down on it. And now Dog comes out after that attorney says that, and he doubles down on it again.
Yeah, that's like Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit C on your defamation lawsuit. And then he admits that he's secretly getting illegal information from people that he's not supposed to get off the record. And like, why would the calls be recorded? Like, are you trying to get information from like the government officials and using your fame to kind of get that information?
Oh, yeah. Like he's entitled to more.
Yeah. And then like, wouldn't that be a crime? Like if you called up the sheriff's office to say, hey, I'm Dog the Bounty Hunter. Can you give me some information? And then
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you just, and like Coffindoffer doesn't tell him like, bro, I'm an FBI agent. I'm a retired FBI agent. And that might be illegal. You might want to shut the fuck up about that on a live stream. Just a thought. But she doubles down and says, yeah, of course, everyone does that. Oh, everyone does that. Oh,
we all record it.
We all just illegally obtain information without warrants or actual subpoenas. Oh, of course, we all do that. I'm like, man, we might need to look into your record as the FBI because that sounds fucking sketch if you're like condoning that. Like, what the fuck?
SF held true. He just posted it. Effective date 4/5 of 24, short-term disability. So when we were all out here saying that he took off of work, that he's not currently working, and we were all being, told differently, well, here it is.
He lied again.
He lied again.
He lied again.
Unbelievable.
He just lied.
And people are going to find excuses for this. This is what blows my mind. This man is blatantly lying. I invite him, Leandra. He might have left to go post this, but I would love if he could come up and help us understand this a little bit better. He can't this morning. So are these public records because he works at the jail?
Yeah. It's just like probably because FS knows how to work with the, get the documents a lot better than us because his job, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's just very interesting.
So here it is. He was on short-term disability.
And he was hired like when he was hired. It says original hire date 2/24/2023. So last year. Not last year. I mean, like February of 2024, in 2023, obviously. So he was hired a year before Sebastian, almost a year before Sebastian went missing. Oh my God.
Yeah, 2/24, and then almost a year later, he's taken a leave at that same time after he gets a raise. A few months after he got the job, he took a leave.
Yeah. A few months after getting the job, he gets a leave, says he needs short-term disability. Oh my God.
On 8/2 of 23, date of last raise. So on 8/4, he takes short-term disability.
Takes off for 90 days.
On 8/4, but he was hired. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So just a few months later, he takes the disability. So as stated, I believe, people said he has like a collective work history of like less than 40 hours or something. Well, this is why the guy's always looking for a shortcut. Why didn't he come out and just admit this?
Because it doesn't make him look good. You know what I mean? Like it makes him look good that he works 12-hour shifts and gets home. And it's like,
see, this brings me back to what Chris Madonna said twice now, once on Vinny's and once on the labs. He said that just because Seth was at work doesn't mean he didn't orchestrate a kidnapping. A year after this man gets a job at the jail, his son comes up vanished. And around April is when he suddenly started saying he has to have surgery on his shoulder. Well, yeah, you have to now because the job you haven't even worked at for a year, you've taken disability leaves from.
Yeah, that's crazy.
May. That whole comment about them dressing, that wasn't even, it was Taco's grandchild. It had nothing to do with Sebastian.
Yeah, but that's the problem. It's like he lies so much, it makes him look bad. And people start saying, like, if you're lying about this and you're lying about that, what else are you lying about? And if he just was honest, he wouldn't be in this situation. He would probably be in a lot better situation. Like, stop lying, sir. Tell the truth.
And over here again, it says next evaluation date is 8/1, right? So is that why we're now seeing things with his attorney asking for his timesheet and all? Would you know, SF, is that why they're doing an internal investigation into his time card? Would that have anything to do with it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I don't know either. Crazy. This is weird.
It's very weird. To me, it just shows that he got the job, didn't want to work it, went on short-term disability.
Right after getting a raise. That's important.
Right after getting a raise, and then proceeds to, when this tragedy happens where Sebastian goes missing, he decides to milk it, say that he got injured while, searching, aggravated his injury. Oh my God. Meanwhile, he's already been out on that injury earlier, and then uses that to raise money, and then goes back on short-term disability. What looks like 2 months later.
And he was set right back to work again right before his son disappeared.
Well, not really. I don't think he was set
next.
Back to work.
Well, next evaluation date was February 2nd.
Yeah, so about a month. So, like not a month, like 22 days or something like that. But yeah I mean, that's weird. And it's like, because you lied about the little things, they add up and it makes you look bad. And if he just told the truth and he just was honest with people, I think there would not be so many people looking at this guy like sideways. I think a lot of people would be a lot more sympathetic to the man. Personally, I would never be sympathetic to the man because of what I heard with Katie. The meeting her at 12 years old when he's like 22, to me, it's like, bro, I'm never going to be sympathetic with that shit. Like, no. You're lucky you're not in jail. That's just my opinion on that one.
Well, and again, if Seth has nothing to hide, what's with this big distraction, right? Like SF is saying, even in his post over here, he's heading back in 2 days to do an actual search with real searchers, knowledgeable and trained. They're going to be in Tennessee. All we have heard from Dog and Nick and all these people is that they're searching, but none of them have landed on Tennessee ground. Not single one of them.
Yeah,
They're
and they
not
have
searching. It's a distraction.
Well, I mean, Nick can't leave the state of Pennsylvania. His lawyer stated it's defamation to state that he's in Tennessee because he's not allowed to based upon his parole. He would probably have to ask for permission to do that, so he's not going. Hong, I have no idea if he's going. I have no clue if Hong is going. Mr. Hong. Mr. Dog is, I don't know what the hell he's doing, and I don't think a 7-year-old, 1-year-old man's going to do huge searches in the backwoods of Tennessee, to be completely honest with you.
Well, you know, Seth can be in a lot of trouble because as he's collecting disability, he's supposedly, right? If we want to believe Team Seth, he's out there searching, right? How can you search if you're that injured?
That is a very good point.
And again, it explains why all the fundraisers are in other people's names. I mean, this man was, you know, allegedly committing fraud right in front of everybody. He can absolutely be in trouble.
Dog is in Hawaii anyway. I don't know if he's in Hawaii now. I thought he went.
I think they said Florida.
Florida. So this man is basically
Florida.
So this man is basically just sitting down and saying nothing. Oh my god!
Like, I want to know how SF got the conclusion of the ages. That would.
I'm sure he has his sources, but he probably doesn't want to.
Look at this. He was working in laundry collection in February because on February 16th he was reprimanded for letting inmates steal thermals.
Where did that come from?
He was a corrupt freaking jailer.
He was working in a laundry collections in February because on February 16th he was reprimanded for letting inmates steal thermals. I have a report. Oh my god!
I told you that this guy did not have a good. And meanwhile, SF,
you got shit on. Yeah, you got shit on by everyone when you said that.
I got, oh my gosh, people came for my, I mean, I was literally, you want to talk about threats. I've received threats after stating that, let me tell you. Even though I was careful on my word and said my opinion, I know people like Seth Rogers, listening to what he says, he wanted to be the inmates' friends. And, well, this is my bad.
So you got a guy, oh my God. Seth, what are you doing?
For letting the inmates steal thermals.
You know, that's not a good thing to do, by the way.
I wonder, did any inmates get released around the time of Sebastian's disappearance?
I won't comment on that because, like, I don't know. You know, personally,
I'm just curious.
I don't think Seth can plan what he.
No, but maybe an inmate had a vendetta against him. I'm not saying he orchestrated anything. Like Long Johns are thermals.
Yeah, I knew one like Seth. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, like, a guy like him, he says he acts like a big shot. He could probably piss off an inmate or two. Probably. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. And meanwhile, he's on disability, but he's flashing his jailer card and telling all these women that he's Ali, that he's
he's gotten bigger. Like, he talks about how he walks the woods all the time. Sir.
Thank you, SF. I'm so thankful somebody who has the power and the resources to defend them is doing that. I loved when you said they're not punching bags. Why is he so adamant of painting this horrible picture of Chris and Katie, and they neglect everything that has come from Seth? I have tons of files on him. Wow.
Because they have to. The problem is, it's like Seth to basically. How do I say this properly? Because of all the bullshit lies that man has stated and spewed out, it makes him look bad. And the only way he can fight back is to go after someone else, basically. He can't just tell the truth.
Right.
You can't just be like truthful and say, guys, I lied to you. I basically sad-fished you all about my shoulder injury and the job and all that stuff for fucking money. And I bamboozled you all for money, basically.
Well, and aside from that, that has always, from what I've gathered by Seth speaking himself, he has always been, you know, what I consider Eeyore. It's everybody else's fault. You know, the school took a year to teach Sebastian how to write an S. Well, why didn't you sit down and teach your son?
I mean,
the therapist wasn't the right therapist. Katie was a horrible mom. She allowed this, you know, where was his part?
Yeah, I mean, I could tell you, I had a learning disability actually early on, and my stepdad would sit hours and hours. I like hooked on phonics, stuff like that.
Yes.
He would just sit there hours, like literally, like it would be hours forcing me to go through hooked on phonics. And he'd be like, you know, his punishments would be like, you know, go to your room and you got to read a book.
Yeah.
You can't, you know, that would be some of his fun. It's like, here's your book, no TV. And that was the kind of thing, like you'd force me because that's how it is. And it's like, that's
he forced you to learn. I always say learning starts and ends at home. If it's taking a year for your child to learn the letter S, you should be ashamed to admit that, because it wasn't solely the school's responsibility, or the fact that, you know, everything he's passed the buck on everything. Katie didn't get on the right therapy. Well, why didn't you? You know, there's so many things that he's always just Eeyore is what I call him. Oh,
yeah.
Me.
Yeah, and it's like you know, like people shit on Seth, Chris all the time. Like the man took another man's child in his house and paid for the kid. Like, what's wrong with you?
When I spoke to Chris, not only did he defend Seth to me, which made me feel like, you know, wow, this is eye-opening. Like, this is on a private call. He's defending Seth to me. But he also told me how he met Sebastian and Katie. And I wish he would tell the public that, because it was so eye-opening. But, you know, it's not my place to tell, so I can't tell it. But I just wish he would tell people, because this thing of, you know, when Betty keeps saying, oh, he was defective. You don't think he knew he was defective? You know,
SF posted something else, by the way.
I can't stand the way Betty speaks.
SF posted something else. He says, in April 2024, he went back on disability. I posted it a few minutes ago as a comment to the main post.
That's the one. Oh, as a comment to the main post. How do you do comments? I'm not familiar with
Well, he probably just re-commented on his own post, maybe. I don't know.
As a comment to the post. This shows he went back on disability. Oh, here it is. Let's see. I mean, oh, it's not coming up for me. Is it I think it's the same thing that we have right here.
Yeah, he's just explaining it.
Okay, that makes sense. So here it is right here. I thought I was, Dan. Thank you.
And I think the reason is that if we found out the truth about Mr. Seth Rogers, he would be a less sympathetic individual. And I think that's what their game is. Their game is they don't want this guy to be you know, people to see the real Seth Rogers. And the real Seth Rogers is a very, very angry individual who's very vindictive to people. He is also a type of man that doesn't want to work. He also will sadfish you for donos, and he will he's not, and he's a liar. Like, it's simple as that. And he possibly groomed his ex-wife.
He does anything he can to disparage Katie and Chris instead of keeping the focus on Sebastian. So when people are saying, oh, you YouTubers, you take the focus away from, his own father has done that. His own father, every time he was brought, I'll never forget, how much did Sebastian weigh at birth? Oh, not as much as the weight on my shoulders. That's how it's always been.
It's so gross. We would know none of this without him. We would have none of this to talk about, and no one would have ever taken the time to look into things like his disability had he not spent the last 7 months peddling lies and being ridiculous.
What do you think of Dog? Do you think his discernment's going to tell him about his magical Christian powers? Discernment's going to help him see it through Seth?
Well, we've already had remote viewing in this case, so I guess now magical Christian powers will come into play too. And psychics, they can all meet. I just feel like if you know, somebody was going to get magical Christian powers, it wouldn't be to catch 50-year-old like relapsed meth addicts on an island.
Yeah, and you know what I thought of when you said, like, when you started saying that, you know, the South Park episode when they start doing, like, the psychics start doing a psychic power.
Oh my God! And they're fighting each other. Yeah.
They're fighting each other, with their fake psychic powers. Carbon's like, boom, and they're like saying that. I just think like that.
I'm getting a reading. Does the letter M mean anything to you?
I just like.
That's what he's surrounded by, though. These fake psychics, and you know.
Well, he don't want to be surrounded by anybody that could really help. He doesn't. You know.
Well, he got rid of them all.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Can you play a 22-second clip of that just to show people with the Carbon versus the psychics? I don't know if you can. I don't know.
All right, everyone.
Looks like Seth.
What's going on? Stand back, mother. We're having a telekinetic battle of men. Enough.
That's what I think of Dog about out there and all these psychics. It's like,
You think with all this psychics, he could get a little bit more accurate information than he's putting out too. I mean, my God, this dude.
oh my God. Yeah, he's not. He's gonna have to go back to his psychics and help him out.
Yeah, he needs a lot of help. He needs to wear an earpiece with somebody giving him some correct info, dude. I've never heard anybody on any missing kid case or crime case, period, be that wrong. I don't know that he got anything right.
I think also that was the worst interview I've ever seen. I think even Betty did a better interview. To be honest with you.
I think so too. Which I can't stand that lady. I mean, I don't know, when people watch pundits, at least for me, when I watch a pundit, you know, I keep up with like how correct they are over time, and then if they're consistently wrong, I don't listen to them anymore. It's a waste of time. I keep wondering when people are gonna like start dismissing her more, because I mean, every time I hear her get real serious about a take, it's always BS. It's never right. She's always, you know, out of pocket. And it's just weird to me that people will keep saying, oh, they're an expert. Oh, they're a this, they're a that, and keep going there when they're consistently wrong.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know. But then again, there's some people that, I guess it's not about logic and facts to them. It's just about however their emotions are going that day.
It's a hate campaign. People hate Katie. They hate Chris because that has been a narrative put out, and they will back anything that goes against them. But then they'll scream, poor Seth, when the same is done to him.
Yeah, for sure.
Right, flight nurse. He can't even get his current wife's name correct. I mean, he couldn't get Sebastian's name correct.
Oh, that's the other thing. This has shown us all. I think that it's Beth was the real dog, for sure.
Yeah, Beth was the brains of the operation.
Beth was dog. This is Dwayne that we're getting here.
Right, there is no doubt in my mind. Beth was definitely the brains of the operation.
Yeah.
He has no clue what the hell he's talking about.
None whatsoever. I mean, I'm just, you know, I did a little bit of looking into just, I don't know, his personal sites and things that he's got going on right now. He is so concerned with not just selling you a book, but selling an autographed copy. Every link I found, from Instagram to his personal webpage, even to the thing that says contact on it, anything you click on, it's all trying to get you to buy one of these autographed copies of his book.
Well, now he's coming out with a podcast, so that's his real intent here. What better way to get seen for this podcast than to go on people's podcasts?
Very, very true. Again, I'm not sure who will tune in, but there's folks that tune into a lot of these people who never get anything right. So, but you know, he brought up, B10 brought up an interesting point about the Fed money. You know, at 10 years, they drop the hammer on you. I mean, when you owe them money, they'll be cool for about 10 years. But then once it cycles around to that 10th season, even if you think they forgot, I promise you they did not. They will freeze your accounts. They will pull money. They'll take assets from you. I mean, they don't play any at all, zero. And if you don't have the money to give them, like, they will go in. And so, you know, I imagine some of that's like, I think 6 years old from the dates that I've seen, 7 years old. So he's probably looking at it. I mean, and this is just conjecture, but I do know about the tax thing. If he really owes 1.8 million, I mean, he's got a chunk of change to earn in the next couple of years to keep them off his back.
Well, might be why he's coming out with all these new resources to earn an income.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I want to play you when Seth Rogers calls into this. I think this is important.
Please.
Technology, yeah. A lot of people. So fascinated with it, where they come back to, you know. Do you have any thoughts on that, other than what I said about how one of the clues of whether there are going to be other victims is what you see at the crime?
Hold on, it might have been 49. We get the correct timestamp. I know, I clicked right out when he called in. Yeah, here it is.
On the air. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. He tells embarrassing things
Hi, Chris.
again about
Hey
Sebastian.
guys.
I have a question concerning what I mean. Everything that I've seen with missing children and then being involved in one. What is the odds, and why is there so many death threats and stuff going out? Why do people feel like that they should bully a person that's looking for a missing child? And where do you think these people get off thinking that that's going to actually stop the person?
So your question, Seth, I can hear it. Am I wrong?
You're not. No, you're right.
Okay. So your question is
No, you're not. I'm not just. No. This is Seth Rogers. I'm calling it.
Oh, no, this is Seth Rogers. Like, he's a celebrity. Like, nobody realized it's you yet, Seth. Yeah, please reassure everybody. It's definitely you. Oh, my goodness. He aggravates me.
Yeah,
I can hear you, brother.
People that would like to know. I mean, me personally, I've been threatened. I've had death threats. I've told people on the news, I'll be your Huckleberry. You want to threaten somebody? You can threaten me. Don't be threatened.
Isn't that funny that that's what Chris said? Chris said, I don't care what anybody says about me so long as it keeps Sebastian's name out there. And now he's mirroring him again, which he's always done.
You can tell from his actions, though, he very much cares.
Yeah, look how angry he's getting right here. And, oh, he's being threatened. So were Katie and Chris because of the things you put out there.
Yeah, and they have been
People
since
that
the
are
jump.
Right, from the beginning. Yeah,
but what is the purpose of all these threats?
There is no purpose.
That it's going to work in their benefit? And has there been anything like this in the past?
Isn't it funny that he's all of a sudden pushing this whole threat thing as well?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, it's the big thing to push right now.
Yeah, Seth. Okay, so to help, number one, you're doing a great thing by being persistent in finding your son. You're out front. You're talking, and because of that, we are living in a time in 2024 for the first time where good is bad and bad is good.
Oh, please, Chris. He talks so slow.
And when you're doing good, there are certain personality types, and I'll let the doc talk about personality types, but from an investigative aspect, being
good.
LE, it's taken quite some time just to get the...
being LE. Again, as SF just put out, he worked for the jail for less than a year, and he spent most time out on short-term disability. He's not LE. He was on probationary. He wasn't even fully employed yet. Unbelievable that they keep calling him LE. So stupid. It's aggravating.
Documentation out to the public that you were actually working. And you and I have had many conversations behind the scenes.
You were working.
Where we've both agreed that if somebody is doing what they feel is
working the system
helpful, which it's not, by threatening, okay, but that is a safety mechanism for them. Okay, they're throwing that up because it's what we call projection.
Oh, please.
Okay, and
really, we know threats have come from Seth.
They are hiding something.
Yes,
that's what that means. And so you have to take. Unfortunately, you've been placed into a position where you've got to wear that jacket for your son, for Sebastian.
Please.
And you have to take those rounds coming down range. And that means at some point, okay, when this is resolved, everybody's going to look back and they're going to say, who was firing those rounds down range?
It was Seth and his team. And I wish I knew they had this call and I would have asked some questions.
And you're going to be able to be in that position to say, I felt them.
Oh, yeah. I felt them.
And that is not a club anybody wants to be in, ever. But when children go missing or vanish out of houses like this, there is a lot of anger. Counsel to you, stay strong. No, I think a lot of people misunderstand you. And you've heard me on Even Court TV tell the public,
that
look, the sheriff's department's got to step up and clear this, get him out of the circle so he can move on, so the public can move on. And the fact that your time cards now are out there in the public, I mean, that should have never happened.
But his friend put it out there. Does he realize Betty put it out there and Betty's part of Seth's team?
No, I bet he doesn't.
Oh my goodness. They should have never been put out there. He put them out there.
That was a law enforcement responsibility to resolve it. Okay. And, you know, I don't have the answer to why that wasn't sooner, but did we not talk about this 3 or 4 months ago?
Did we not?
And I mean, you can check the date on those. I've had them for a while. It's just, I didn't see any point in putting them out because I knew that I was at work.
No, I know that. But you see,
I knew I was at work. But then when somebody started saying that I had taken a break or whatever, that was 3 hours. It's like, I'm 3 hour break. I'd have been fired. What are you talking about?
It was 2 hours, and what you actually took was a 3-month break, huh? Oh my goodness.
yeah. And well, you know what?
It's not like you get to take a 3 hour break anyways.
Just stay the course, my friend. It's progressing. I'm sure of it. And I think the frustrating part of it is you are doing what you're supposed to do, and the public sees it. Am I off base here, Josh, by saying, and Gary? I mean, they're watching you, and they're watching the other folks too, and probably everybody in that neighborhood is watching everybody.
I think where a lot of the disconnect comes is that people base their feelings on whether they like somebody or not, not whether they're a grieving parent with hurt in their voice. I can hear it.
You can hear it.
I can hear it in your voice. This has taken.
I didn't hear it in his voice when he was up there pretending to masturbate. I didn't hear it in his voice when he was bragging about seeking revenge on an ex-roommate and spitting all over his pizza and putting, hairs in it. I didn't hear his sadness then.
I didn't hear that either. I didn't hear any of that sadness. I didn't hear the tears coming down his eyes, his cheeks.
I just seem to always miss the sadness.
Yeah.
I get the giddiness at those times, though.
But anyway, I got to skedaddle. I'll see you guys.
Thank you, B10.
No problem.
23
biggest toll that it can on anybody. I mean, sometimes I just feel stupid because I don't know what to say sometimes. I've told you this before, and because it's
because you see the red flags. Somehow
when people just go low just for content.
My son's gone. If he's missing, he's lost. And then everybody wants to put him on the back burner to throw crap at people. And
see, there he goes. Everybody wants to put Sebastian on the back burner to throw crap at people, but yet your new hired team is doing just that. This is the stuff that drives me nuts about Seth. You're doing that. You're doing that. Your team.
And started it.
Right. Chris and Katie aren't even speaking.
It's like, I'm getting hit with it.
Oh.
Tony's getting.
Sorry, couldn't hear you.
Oh, I just said, and they haven't spoken months.
Right. He created this environment.
Hit with it. Everybody that's, and it's like, it's my duty to protect my children. But at the same point in time, it's my duty to protect the people that are helping me find my son. Because he's my son. And it's just like, it kind of never stops.
Yeah. You and
I
haven't ever spoken before. It sounds like you've spoken to these guys before. I'm certainly very familiar with your story and some of the outrageous things they've heard and some opinions people have and all that. And it does feel like it would be nice if people would let you be private with whatever process you're going through. I do want to ask, just to kind of humanize you for a moment here. I was hoping maybe you'll take a couple of minutes and just tell us a little bit about your son. What was he like? What is he like? To fill in the gaps a little bit for the public who know nothing about him except to call him
Thank you for finally asking to speak about Sebastian. Thank you, Gary.
A boy of such and such age who happened to have a diagnosis of autism, and fill him in. What was he like? What is he like?
This should be interesting.
If you could ever have somebody that was happy all the time, my son was known happy all the time. He always had a smile on his face. He was always willing to listen, and he was always intrigued to learn something new. He loved his animals. He's got animal books in his room. He loved his video games. That was his way of getting away from the regular world, which we all need a break from. But then at the same point in time, he liked to just go out, sit in a chair and go fishing. There was just, he would sit down in the living room. We'd watch movies on end, and he was just, well, what do you want to do, son? It was like, I'm doing it, Dad. I'm sitting here watching movies with you. He was the easiest kid to appease. Because it didn't take much for him to be happy.
That's right. And I bet you remember the day he was born like it was yesterday.
Oh, ask him about the day he was born. He said,
You remember him as a little guy
dad.
when you first came home?
It's been one long day.
Yeah.
It was a long day.
I remember him as a little guy when he first came home. Yes, I dressed him in a pair. I remember picking out the outfit that I was going to bring him home, and from the hospital, I was there. You know, I remember when he peed on the nurse.
Oh, there we go.
Peyton did that too.
Came out, peed on the nurse, and then gave this half smirk. And I was like, "There's my smile." I mean,
that's not what you said on the other interview. He said, "That's my boy. That's my son."
I was like, "Bravo, son. Bravo.
Bravo for peeing
Mark your territory, young man. Mark your territory.
Mark your territory.
What?
Mark your territory," he said. "Bravo, young son. Mark your territory."
That is so weird. I'm not sure what I would say if asked that in that scenario, but I cannot imagine saying that.
Mark your territory, son. Mark your territory. Don't forget, he also said, "That's my son," when he first described the same situation. Mark your territory. Like, again, this is weird. The whole vibe of it is weird. Everything has this undertone with him that I can't stand.
Yeah, well, it all comes back to him. Everything he said was like, oh, it's his smile, it's his son,
right?
It's his. I don't know. When I think
just
about
like me, right?
Yeah, well, when I think about my kids, I just think about them more as like, an autonomous human being, not as, oh, this is a piece of me. I think of them like, oh, this is a person. I don't know.
Right.
It's weird sometimes how it comes off.
And he did make a statement about it. I know as a father, I have to protect my children. He did say that.
Yeah.
And then he said, but I also have to protect people that are looking for my son.
Yeah.
Which, again, was weird.
He said that's a weird statement, too, because, no, you're not. It's going to be law enforcement that's doing that.
Yep.
Maybe that's why he's dressing like Boss Hog.
It was just, I remember some of the, he got up, and before I could get in there, he had used the bathroom, and he was still in the crib, and I got up, I walked in, coffee was still being made. This was down in South Georgia, and I walked in, and he had been painting on the wall. He didn't have any finger paints. And it was like, oh
my God.
The memories he shares are not memories to be shared. Like,
no.
People these aren't the memories that stick out in a regular parent's mind, right?
Why is he so focused on that?
It's just what he does, who he is.
Ugh.
It's who he is. Another embarrassing story to put out about Sebastian, who he is.
Looks like we're doing laundry and washing walls today, but it was just like, what are you going to do? He's a kid. He's a little baby. He doesn't know any better.
What, you want to punish him for that?
We got to get you.
Like, what are you going to do? He's a kid. He doesn't know any better. Like, what? You want to punish him for that? Did it make you angry? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you got to wonder what the trigger is for this stuff to stick out in the mind so much. That we got a peace story, and we got a another similar story. It's
just weird.
Cleaned up, and we got to start washing walls and doing laundry. But
he was asked to describe Sebastian,
and over the years,
to me, before this happened, these were all things that it would be like, these would be blackmail for your child later on when they're like.
There you go. You're listening closely. When these things happened, he thought these will be blackmail for your child later on. This guy is a revengeful person, and I want people that support Seth Rogers to replace the story and pretend it's Chris saying all this. And how would you feel?
Yeah.
This is not normal.
No, not at all. Not at all. I've never had a thought like that.
It's weird.
Well, let me tell you, you're talking to his girlfriend or his fiance type stuff. I've got some stories about him. Here, let me tell you.
You would.
Just picturing him going, "Dad, please don't."
And that's what he was picturing. That's his future right there. That was his future right there. Was imagine Sebastian coming home one day with a girl, and he's going to tell this girl these embarrassing stories, and he hears Sebastian over there saying, "Dad, please don't." That's what he was, not, normal parents. I envision my kids coming home with a partner one day and they're great people and they're so happy and they're in love. I don't think, oh, I can't wait to blackmail you.
Yeah, exactly.
Weird.
Yeah,
I don't to him, but
sorry.
No, I'm almost speechless. It just seems so abnormal to me. I don't know where those thoughts come from, and I'm just trying to connect the dots in my mind of like what makes a person think, go to those places. Because if you're get one shot and you're in front of a doctor from Cornell, this dude in front of all these folks, and you have a moment to talk about your kid, I don't. It's just baffling to me. I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
And just picturing him going, "Dad, please don't."
Yeah.
Because they would be embarrassing to him, but to me, it was just, these were the things that happened, that part of life.
Yeah. When he was growing up, when he was growing up, and you were looking at him, as the years went on, was he the kind of kid that was very trusting, even of people that maybe were a little dangerous or sketchy, or did he have a kind of a good common sense on him? Did he feel out, oh, I better stay away from that creepy person, or
he didn't have a good common sense, but no, he didn't have a good common sense type thing. But at the same point in time, he was naive. I mean, he's a young kid.
So he was a very trusting kid. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Seth, can I
would say that more likely he got that maturity from me.
He got the maturity from him. The father, that's remembered in 2 embarrassing points, said that when he peed on the nurse, he was marking his territory, and then wanted to blackmail him with his poop wall painting story as he got older. He got his maturity from me. What a joke. What a joke.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
And Dr. Gary, I mean, Seth, can I have a story that I've shared before that I feel I want.
He sure did. He said he would never get in a car
to maybe give you some insight from a father who has lost a son 21 years ago. And my story. I've given it to
Chris is just like Seth. They always bring it back to themselves.
Yeah.
Always goes back to themselves.
Very
behind the scenes on the phone, you and I and others. But there's one thing that was shared with me a long time ago, and it was a man that was asked by a messenger from heaven to go into a canyon. And he gets into this canyon and he stops for a moment and he kneels down and he says, "Dear Lord, you've asked me to come into the canyon. What shall I do?"
I've had enough with the religious shit being thrown into this.
Yes, I have too. Just stated the facts. I mean,
right. Just get to the point. Tell us about your story and move it along. This is about Sebastian right now, but Chris has to interrupt to tell about Chris. Like, can we keep it Sebastian focused for once?
I know. I noticed that you sped it up too during him speaking. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
for that.
He talks so slow.
It's terrible.
It's aggravating.
Yeah.
Like,
and he has this impression to move forward.
Sebastian.
And he gets into the middle of the canyon and there's a gigantic rock from one side to the other side of the canyon.
Who cares?
And he stops again. And he asks God again, "You've asked me to come this far. What else shall I do?"
Oh, please.
And he has this impression, push. And he says, "Push." Why? And he hears push. And he reaches up and he puts his arms against this rock. And he says, "I have a messenger says, just forget I believe me, and you are your son." And Gary, I didn't mean to interrupt. I apologize.
Oh, I think that was very beautiful. And I think.
No, you don't. You're not apologizing for interrupting. You did mean to interrupt. At least this Dr. Gary guy down here had the common sense to ask about Sebastian and keep him in the forefront. But Chris M had to interrupt with some religious story. You ever hear the story of the child and the 2 mothers? That's one you should be sharing. Very spiteful.
The only thing, I would add to that very powerful story is to say that, remember, if you are a person of faith, that the God who sometimes took his own medicine after, knows what it is to lose a son.
There we go.
And that's very important to understand. And I think, now listen, I don't know you very well, but I don't think it takes Sherlock Holmes to listen to you to hear that there's an authenticity in what you're saying and the pain you're going through. And I have to say that authenticity is often missing in these kinds of
the pain. He recounted 2 embarrassing stories of his child.
Cases when you talk to family members, and it's odd. What a person listening to you hears is that you've been through the ringer, and your heart is broken and been taped together and fallen apart 100 times already. And people can't just leave you alone to sort your brain out about it, and it's overwhelming.
Then maybe he
and I just want you to understand that. I mean,
maybe he should be
hear
back
it in your
at
voice
work.
that there's a lot of pain there. And Chris, I think it was very brave and beautiful that and vulnerable that he opens up about that experience. We've all been through loss.
And
by loss,
he talked about a religious story.
I mean, the whole spectrum of not knowing where somebody is, all the way to losing them. I think right now we have absolutely no idea of what's going on in this particular story. But I think you have to just put a wall around you and just say, like, this isn't, you don't know what I'm dealing with, and your need for rapid closure or to point fingers or whatever, you keep that to you. No one is going to understand until they've been there. Chris, you know that. And
it's Seth's team that is pointing all the fingers, though. Respectfully, I don't think these people are paying much attention to everything.
Better than anybody else who could possibly.
Yeah, they're not.
Phenomenon of what that feels like. I mean, those stories you told, that's why I wanted you to give a little glimpse. I think that when you humanized that way, that image, for example, of your son fishing.
You think that's humanizing? That he told a story about Sebastian spreading poop on the wall, or about marking his territory with the nurse? You think that's humanizing? I feel like it's very dehumanizing.
I agree with that for sure. It is.
And there he goes again, another opportunity to spread some light on Sebastian. And everybody talks about Chris and Katie painting Sebastian in these, horrible lights. I have not heard a great story come out of Seth, not once.
No, I haven't either. I will say in Gary's defense, I don't love him from what I've heard him say on Chris McDonough's show. I know he's a smart man. Well, he's a smart dude. He's a doctor at Cornell. I mean, he's got positive stuff about him. But I mean, if you're talking to a dude like Seth, if you don't agree with him and if you don't give him space, he's not going to say anything. So maybe hopefully, at least in his part, he's saying that just to try to keep dude talking. I don't know.
No, because all they do is kiss this man's ass and feed his ego. It's aggravating. They're not, nobody asks him to talk questions. Nobody interrupts him when he's telling these ridiculous stories. Nobody points out, like, well, you know what, Seth, I don't think that's appropriate. We're asking for stories of who Sebastian was, and what you're giving us just isn't really appropriate. Do you have any current time stories? Can you tell us Sebastian in the current, what do you have about Sebastian at the age of 15, Seth? Tell us your son today, not from 5 years ago, not 10 years ago, today. He can't do it.
Was he in any clubs? Did he do anything after school? Like not video, don't just say video games. Like there's so many things kids do nowadays, from robotics clubs, chess clubs, art groups.
Well, maybe he didn't do any of them. He has nothing to say because he doesn't know them.
Yeah. Well, that's the point. That's the larger point for sure. But
it's infuriating.
I thought that was heartbreaking. It brought him, it really brought him alive, for a moment, and I could picture everything about it. And he was a beautiful kid. He is a beautiful kid, adorable. And I'm sure not a day goes by that your heart isn't broken. And so, you have the support of everyone. And don't let people talk to you like that. Just, you put a wall around you. What do you say, Chris?
Yeah, he's doing great. You really are. And it's hard.
He's doing great.
There's no words any of us can say that will make any sense. And so you just stay the course right now. This is the hard part, but remember, you're just pushing. At some point, you'll get to the top and you'll look back and you'll realize, that an unknown force or an unknown power had been carrying you through the whole process. And I love that poem, where you look down and you see the footprints in the sand, right? That one. So, you're a good man, and just, stay the course. That's what I always say. And my opinion for law enforcement has been, and this is a couple of weekends in this business, my opinion for law enforcement has been, stay at the house. Don't leave that house yet. So, it looks like there's some evidence.
Was that his opinion when he interrogated the
things going on behind that house, but it originated at that house. And 15-year-olds just don't vanish. So
no, but they run away every
day. If you need something, you can call. That you can call anytime, and it's always confidential. So, thank you, brother, for calling tonight. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate that, Chris.
All right, buddy.
Thanks for calling in, Seth, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, John.
And I think that Dr. Gary has given you great. Dr. Gary and Chris both put that wall up and keep pushing forward, because they won't stop. They won't stop because they don't know what they're talking about.
Right.
And
but his team does when they're going.
He who is without sin. Let's look at everybody's life. Let's look at everybody through a microscope. They don't want that. You don't want that, but somehow you ended up in this position against your will and your son's will.
What? He's the one that put himself out there, Josh, and you know that.
Put that guard up.
He's the one that put a microscope in the
and just keep doing what you're doing. Because I think what you're doing is you're looking for your son in any way you can.
Oh, please.
And it's a desperate time, and I get it.
Oh, please.
So
all of us can look in the mirror and say,
Josh already called out that he brought in these clowns. He already called out that Nick is a clown, that all of this is publicity stunt, but yet he's not going to speak up and say to Seth, hey, Seth, I think you're making the wrong moves right now. You shouldn't keep what you're doing. What you're doing isn't helping you. What would help you is to do X, Y, and Z. I mean, come on. This is ridiculous.
Yep. It is. It's completely ridiculous. But everybody treats him that way. And if you don't, he's not going to talk to you or go around you.
Yeah, they baby him because that's the way they keep the views coming in and keep him coming in their chats.
Yep.
It's unreal.
It is.
Anyway, SS, we have a fall festival today.
Oh, so that's great.
Yeah, it's always nice. And then we're going to go see that movie, Speak No Evil, I think it's called.
I don't think I've heard of that one, Speak No Evil.
Yeah, it's like a remake from a movie a few years ago, so...
Well, we had homecoming last night and didn't get done till super late. So
I
feel you. We won too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, 35-6. So.
Oh, wow. That's a major win.
Yeah, we crushed them. 2 years ago, we played for the state championship. Last year was down, but we're a little bit better this one. My son got the best overall score of anybody on the line on both sides of the ball. So I'm happy about that.
Oh, that's proud.
Yeah, he got after it. He got 2 sacks too, so I was stoked.
I love that.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Well, I will let you go. It's always a pleasure, Jess.
Yes, always a pleasure to have you. Thank you for coming up.
For sure. Take care.
Bye. It's refreshing to hear a father that doesn't use embarrassing moments as woo, child. So we didn't quite get through our interview, and that's okay. I know a lot of other people went live, as I was live. So everybody covers the same thing. So it's taking place in other places. If you guys want to hear the rest of it, I will come back another day, maybe even later today, to give my opinion on all of that. If you haven't, please consider hitting the thumbs up. We are, like I said, fall festival, and then go see this movie. So maybe tonight. Maybe we'll light up a fire and come live later and cover everything we didn't get to. Appreciate you all being here with me today. It's a shame. It's a shame that it's always a distraction from Sebastian. Even when asked to directly speak on him, something has to come about to distract from that. It's a shame they can't just keep it focus driven, No, keep on. You're talking about Sebastian. Tell us more, but whatever. It's just unfortunate this is the place we're in. And I don't know. I hope going forward they get on the right track and they stop this finger pointing game. And thank you, SF, for coming in today and for dropping that information. It's very eye-opening. I don't know why Seth was being so dishonest with everybody. And I'm sure those that support him are going to ignore these dishonesties that are coming out. They always do. Unbelievable. As I always say, ask for receipts, right? Why don't we get receipts on these things? It's always... SF comes out with receipts and they still say it's not good enough. Well, what about Chris? The whataboutism? There's plenty of people speaking bad about Chris and Katie right now. Instead of distracting when somebody points you out something about Seth, why not just acknowledge it? That's the biggest problem, is that based on size, we don't acknowledge the things that are right before us. And it drives me nuts. Like, I can acknowledge that Chris has done weird things. But you can't acknowledge that Seth has as well, and it drives me crazy. Sin, thank you so much for the super chat. Serial Boomer, thank you so much. You guys are awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. All right, guys, I will see you all later. I hope everybody has a great day. I hope you all get outside and enjoy this beautiful weather. I got to soak it up before winter comes. I just cannot stand the winter. So thank you. Thank you so much, Sin. I hope you all have a great day. And hit the thumbs up on your way out, and I'll see you around.